They say you can't see betrayal coming? They're wrong. The text message glowed in the dark terminal like a knife. I can't do this. Don't look for me. 3 years, gone in 15 words. Lena Carter stood frozen at gate 47, watching her flight board without her. The flight to their new life, the one they'd planned down to the furniture. But Marcus wasn't coming. He'd never even gotten on the plane. What she didn't know, the stranger watching her from across the terminal was about to make this the least devastating part of her night. Stay with me until the end, hit that like button, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The overhead lights at Hartwell International buzzed with that particular frequency that makes exhaustion feel physical. Lena sat in a row of connected plastic chairs, her carry-on between her feet, staring at her phone like it might suddenly offer a different reality. It didn't. I can't do this. Don't look for me. She read it again and again. The words didn't change. Marcus Chen, reliable, steady Marcus, who color-coded their shared calendar and never missed a deadline, had just disappeared 30 minutes before their flight to Denver. The flight where they were supposed to start over. New jobs, new apartment, new everything. Her thumb hovered over his contact. She'd called 6 times, voicemail every single time. Ma'am? A gate agent appeared above her. We're about to close the door. Are you boarding? Lena looked up. The woman's expression was professionally sympathetic but fundamentally uninterested. Behind her, the jetway was empty. My fiancé, he's... The word caught in her throat. Was he still her fiancé? Could you be engaged to someone who just vanished? I'm sorry, but I need an answer. Are you getting on this plane? The rational part of Lena's brain, the part that had spent 3 years building a life with Marcus, that had quit her job and given up her apartment and packed everything she owned into a storage unit, screamed at her to board. He'd meet her there. This was a mistake, a misunderstanding. But the text message wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a period at the end of a sentence she hadn't known was being written. No, she heard herself say. I'm not getting on. The gate agent nodded, already moving away, already forgetting her. The door sealed with a hydraulic hiss. Through the window, the plane pushed back from the gate, its lights blinking against the darkness. Lena sat back down. The airport at 1 a.m. was its own kind of purgatory. A janitor pushed a buffer across the tile, the mechanical whir echoing through empty corridors. A businessman slept across 3 chairs, his loosened tie draped over his chest. The coffee shop had closed hours ago. She should call someone. Her sister, maybe. But Emily was in Singapore for work, and it was... Lena tried to do the math and gave up. Late. Or early. Wrong, either way. Her phone buzzed. For one stupid, hopeful second, she thought, Marcus Chen has removed you from the shared album, Our Denver Adventure. The notification felt obscene, like getting dumped by algorithm. She opened her banking app, something she should have done 20 minutes ago. Their shared account, the one they'd been pooling money into for the move, had a balance of $37. It had held $9,000 yesterday. Her hands started shaking. You look like you could use a drink. Lena's head snapped up. The man standing a few feet away was probably in his mid-30s, dressed in dark slacks and a charcoal sweater that probably cost more than her rent. His hair was black, precisely cut, and his eyes were the kind of gray that seemed to catalog everything without trying. The bars are closed, she said flatly. Not all of them. He gestured vaguely toward the international terminal. Are you all right? Do I look all right? A slight smile. No. You look like someone just set your life on fire and you're still deciding whether to put it out or watch it burn. Despite everything, Lena almost laughed. That's specific. I've seen the look before. He paused. I'm Adrian. Lena. Bad flight? Bad everything. She didn't know why she was talking to him, stranger danger and all that. But the airport at 1 a.m. had its own rules. And besides, what did it matter anymore? My fiancé just cleaned out our bank account and disappeared, via text, 30 minutes before our flight. Adrian's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. Recognition, maybe, or calculation. That's efficient, at least. Most people drag it out. That's your response? Efficient? Would you prefer sympathy? I can do sympathy. But you strike me as someone who'd rather have honest. He was right, which was annoying. What are you, a therapist? Consultant. Similar skill set, better pay. He checked his watch, something slim and expensive. I have a flight to New York in 40 minutes. Business, boring, but there's a car waiting, and the company's paying for everything. And you look like you could use a change of scenery. Lena stared at him. You're inviting me to New York? You don't even know me. I know you just got your heart broken by someone dumb enough to do it via text. I know you're sitting in an airport at 1 in the morning with nowhere to go. And I know that sometimes the best thing you can do when your life falls apart is get on a plane. He shrugged. Besides, it's New York. You can disappear there. For a night, anyway. Every reasonable instinct she had screamed no. This was how crime documentaries started, how people ended up in pieces in storage units, but Reasonable had gotten her nowhere. Reasonable had gotten her engaged to a man who'd stolen $9,000 and vanished. Reasonable had her sitting alone in an empty airport watching her future taxi away without her. Why? She asked. Why what? Why are you offering this? Adrian considered the question. Because 2 years ago, someone did something similar for me. Different circumstances, same feeling, and because I have a spare ticket, and because… He stopped, then continued with something that sounded like truth. Because watching people suffer when you can help is a waste of everyone's time. Lena looked at her phone. No new messages, no missed calls. Just the ghost of a shared album and a bank account on life support. One night, I'll have the driver drop you at a hotel. You can leave whenever you want. No expectations, no strings. She should say no. She should call Emily. She should go to her sister's apartment across town and curl up on the couch and cry until she couldn't anymore. Instead, she picked up her carry-on. Okay. If Adrian was surprised, he didn't show it. He just nodded, pulled out his phone, and made a quick call. Car's meeting us at door 7, gates in the international terminal. They walked through the empty airport in silence. Lena kept waiting for the panic to hit, for the rational part of her brain to reassert control and send her running back to the domestic terminal. But it didn't come. Maybe she was in shock, or maybe she'd just stopped caring. The car was a black sedan, anonymous and expensive. The driver didn't ask questions, just loaded their bags and pulled away from the curb. Adrian sat on the far side of the back seat, looking out his window, giving her space. You do this often? Lena asked as they merged onto the highway. Rescue stranded women at airports? First time, actually. I'm usually the one being rescued. From what? Boredom. Bad decisions. Myself. He turned to look at her. What was his name? The fiancé. Marcus. Why? Just curious, trying to picture the kind of person who'd… He stopped. Sorry. None of my business. No, say it. Who'd what? Who'd have something worth keeping and throw it away via text message? The words hit harder than they should have. Lena looked down at her hands, at the engagement ring she was still wearing. It was a modest thing. They'd been saving for the move, not jewelry, but she'd loved it, had loved what it represented. He wasn't always like this, she said quietly. Or maybe he was, and I just didn't see it. People are good at hiding what they want you to miss. There was something in the way he said it. Experience, not theory. Lena studied him in the dim light of the car. Adrian Voss. Consultant. Whatever that meant. He wore expensive clothes with the casual confidence of someone for whom expense was irrelevant. His phone, when it buzzed, showed messages in 3 languages. And when he'd made that call at the airport, the person on the other end had responded instantly, like they'd been waiting. What kind of consultant are you? She asked. The useful kind. That's not an answer. No, he agreed. It's not. They arrived at the private terminal 40 minutes later. Lena had never been to one before, had never known they existed. The building was small and sleek, all glass and brushed steel. A woman in a crisp suit met them at the door, calling Adrian by name, ushering them through security without the usual theater of shoes and laptops and belts. The plane was small, 8 seats, leather and wood grain and carpet thick enough to lose your shoes in. This is yours? Lena asked. The company's. I just use it. What company? That slight smile again. The useful kind. They took off 20 minutes later, the city falling away beneath them in a grid of lights. Lena pressed her face to the window, watching it all disappear. Somewhere down there was her storage unit full of boxes. Her sister's apartment. The life she'd been building with Marcus. All of it, shrinking to nothing. "You should sleep," Adrian said from across the aisle. "It's a short flight, but you look like you haven't slept in days." "I can't. My brain won't stop." "Replaying it? Looking for the signs you missed?" "Yes." "Won't help. You'll just torture yourself with hindsight. The signs are always obvious after the fact." Lena turned from the window. "You've been here before, haven't you? The whole 'someone did something similar for me' thing wasn't just a line." Adrian was quiet for a moment, his gaze focused somewhere past her, past the plane. "Different circumstances, but yes, I've been somewhere like here." "What happened?" "I trusted the wrong person. Cost me more than money." "How did you get past it?" He looked at her then, and something in his expression made her chest tight. "Who says I did?" The flight attendant, because apparently private planes had those, brought them drinks. Lena asked for vodka and got something that tasted like it cost more than her car payment. Adrian drank scotch, neat, and stared out at his own window. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said after a while. "Depends on the question. Why are you really doing this? And don't say because someone did it for you. That's not enough. People don't just invite strangers to New York because they feel charitable." Adrian turned his glass slowly, watching the liquid catch the light. "You're right, that's not enough." So, you reminded me of someone, the way you were sitting there, trying to hold it together. And I thought," he paused, "I thought maybe I could stop someone from making the mistakes I made. When it happened to me, I didn't get on a plane. I stayed, tried to fix it, spent 6 months drowning in something that was already dead." "What happened after 6 months?" "I left. Finally. Probably 6 months too late." Lena absorbed this. "And now?" "Now I'm a consultant for a company that pays me too much to care about things that don't matter. And sometimes I invite strangers to New York because I'm tired of watching people suffer when they don't have to." It was honest, painfully so. Lena found herself believing him, or at least believing that he believed it. "Thank you," she said. "Don't thank me yet. You might hate New York." "I might hate everything right now." "That's fair." They landed at Teterboro just after 3 in the morning. Another black car. Another silent driver. The city rolled past the windows. Manhattan across the river, lit up like a promise or a threat, depending on how you looked at it. "Where are we going?" Lena asked. "Hotel first, the plaza, then wherever you want." "You're just going to set me loose in New York? Would you prefer a guided tour?" "I'd prefer—" She stopped. What did she prefer? "I don't know what I prefer. I don't know anything right now." "That's okay. You don't have to." The plaza was excessive in the way only New York hotels could be, all marble and gold and staff who moved like dancers. Adrian spoke briefly to someone at the desk, and suddenly Lena had a room key and a bellhop and an elevator whisking her up to the 8th floor. The room was beautiful, stupid beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, a bed the size of her old apartment, a bathroom with a tub she could swim in. She sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out her phone. Still nothing from Marcus. But there was a message from an unknown number. "Sleep. Breakfast downstairs at 9 if you want it. You're under Carter." Lena stared at the message, then at the room, then at her reflection in the dark window. A woman in wrinkled travel clothes holding a phone with a dead engagement on it, sitting in a hotel room that cost more per night than she made in a week. What the hell was she doing? Her phone buzzed. "Emily, finally awake in Singapore. Just saw your location? Are you in New York? What happened to Denver?" Lena typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, "Long story, call you tomorrow." "Are you okay? Was she?" Lena looked around the room again, at the minibar stocked with things she'd never heard of, at the robe hanging in the closet with the hotel logo embroidered in gold thread, at the city glittering beyond the glass. "I don't know, but I'm somewhere else, and right now that's enough." She set the phone down, kicked off her shoes, and fell back on the bed without undressing. The ceiling was ornate plaster, detailed and perfect. She stared at it until the shapes stopped making sense, until exhaustion dragged her under. When she woke, it was 9:15 and someone was knocking. Lena stumbled to the door, still in yesterday's clothes, and opened it to find Adrian holding 2 coffee cups and wearing different clothes, dark jeans, white shirt, Same expensive watch. You missed breakfast, he said, offering her a cup. But I saved you coffee. How did you know I'd even be awake? I didn't, but I was downstairs anyway, so... He shrugged. Can I come in? She should say no. She should send him away, check out, find her way to the airport. But instead she stepped back, letting him enter. He moved to the window, looking out at the park. Sleep? Some. You? Enough. He turned back to her. So, what do you want to do with your day in New York? I don't know. I've never been here before. Never? Never. Marcus and I were supposed to come for our honeymoon, but she stopped, the words turning sour. Guess that's not happening now. Adrian's expression did something complicated. No, probably not. They stood there in awkward silence, two strangers drinking coffee in a hotel room, pretending this was normal. Look, Lena finally said, I appreciate what you did, getting me out of that airport, the hotel, all of it. But I should probably figure out what I'm actually doing. Go back. Deal with Marcus. File a police report or something. You could do that. But it's 9:30 on a Friday morning and you're in New York, and the police aren't going to find Marcus if he doesn't want to be found. You could spend the day on hold with banks and filing reports, or you could spend it not thinking about Marcus at all. Lena wanted to argue, to be responsible, to do the right thing. But what was the right thing when your life had just imploded? What did you have in mind? She asked. Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, typed something quickly. When he looked up, his expression had shifted, not quite worried, but alert in a way he hadn't been before. I need to take care of something. Shouldn't take long. You could wait here, or... He paused. Or you could come with me. See a different side of the city. What kind of something? Business? Boring business? You keep saying that, business, but you never say what kind. The complicated kind. He checked his phone again. Look, I have to go. You can stay here. The room's paid through the weekend. Or you can come. Your choice. Every instinct screamed at her to stay, to not get more tangled in whatever Adrian Voss was involved in. But those same instincts had told her Marcus was reliable, that their life together was solid. Maybe her instincts were shit. I'll come, she said. Adrian nodded, unsurprised. Get dressed. Something comfortable. We might be walking. 20 minutes later, they were in another black car, not the same one from last night, but close enough to be twins. The driver was different too, younger, with shoulders that suggested more than chauffeur training. Where are we going? Lena asked as they merged into traffic. Brooklyn. Why? Because that's where my associate is. Associate in what? Adrian smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. You ask a lot of questions. You give a lot of non-answers. Fair. They drove in silence for a while, crossing the bridge with the city spreading out below them. Lena watched people on the streets, thousands of them, all moving with purpose, all going somewhere. All of them probably had better plans than following a stranger to Brooklyn. The car stopped in front of a warehouse in Red Hook, all brick and rust and windows too dirty to see through. Not threatening exactly, but not welcoming either. Stay close, Adrian said as they got out. Why? Because I asked nicely. The door was unlocked. Inside, the warehouse had been converted into something between office space and showroom, concrete floors, exposed ductwork, expensive furniture arranged in careful disorder. 3 men in suits stood near the back, talking in low voices. They stopped when Adrian entered. Voss, one of them said. Not friendly. Garrett. Adrian's voice had changed, gone cooler, more precise. We had an agreement. Agreements change. Not this one. Lena hung back, suddenly very aware that she had no idea what she'd walked into. Adrian had moved differently the moment they'd entered. Not quite aggressive, but coiled. Ready. Who's she? Another man gestured at Lena. Not relevant, Adrian said flatly. The shipment. Where is it? About that. Where is it? The temperature in the room seemed to drop. The 3 men shifted, hands moving toward pockets. Adrian didn't move at all, but something about his stillness was worse than any threat. Marcus sent it somewhere else, the first man, Garrett, finally said. Said you'd understand. Lena's blood froze. What did you just say? Everyone turned to look at her. Marcus, she repeated, stepping forward despite Adrian's warning look. Marcus who? Garrett's expression shifted from annoyed to confused. Marcus Chen. He works for... He stopped, looking at Adrian. She doesn't know? Know what? Lena demanded. How do you know Marcus? Adrian closed his eyes briefly, and when he opened them, they were flat and cold. Lena, how do they know Marcus? Because he works for the same organization I consult for. Adrian's voice was careful, measured. And apparently he just stole something that doesn't belong to him. The room tilted. Lena grabbed the back of a chair, her mind trying to process. Marcus works for you? No, we work for the same people. I didn't know he was your Marcus until... Adrian stopped. Until about 30 seconds ago, when Garrett said his name. You're lying. I'm not. You knew, at the airport. That's why you... I didn't know. Lena, I swear I had no idea. Adrian stepped toward her, hands up like she was something wild that might bolt. I knew someone named Marcus Chen had gone rogue. I didn't know he was your fiancé until just now. Lena's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with shaking hands. You shouldn't have gone with him. Now they know you're involved. I'm sorry. The words blurred, the room blurred. Everything blurred except the sudden, terrible clarity that she'd made every wrong choice possible and ended up exactly where Marcus had apparently intended. What organization? She whispered. Adrian didn't answer immediately. Behind him, the three men waited, hands still near pockets, watching. The kind that doesn't exist on paper, Adrian finally said. The kind that handles problems for people who can afford complicated solutions. That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you here. Lena looked at him, really looked at him, at the expensive clothes that weren't just expensive but specific, at the way he carried himself, the way people responded to him, at the car and the plane and the hotel room that cost more than her rent. You're not a consultant, she said. No, Adrian agreed quietly. I'm not. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Marcus. Run. Too late, Lena said to no one in particular. I think I already did. The silence in the warehouse stretched until Garrett cleared his throat. So we doing this or what? He said, hand still hovering near his jacket. Adrian's jaw tightened. Doing what, exactly? Cleaning up your mess. Chen's girl here is a liability. She's not his girl and she's not a liability. Adrian's voice dropped half an octave. She's leaving, with me, and you're going to forget you saw her. That's not how this works, Voss. It is today. The air felt thick, compressed. Lena's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd watched enough crime shows to know how scenes like this ended, and it usually involved someone not walking out. Her phone buzzed again. She looked down before she could stop herself. There's a service door behind you, 20 feet. When I say go, run. Don't look back. She glanced up. Adrian was watching her, his expression unreadable. He'd seen the text. She could tell by the microscopic tightening around his eyes. We're leaving, he said, not taking his gaze off the three men. No, Garrett said simply. You are. She's staying. Insurance. Insurance for what? For Chen bringing back what he took. He'll come for her. They always do. Adrian laughed, and it was the coldest sound Lena had ever heard. You're dumber than I thought if you believe that. Chen's gone. He doesn't care about her. He used her. The words landed like punches, true ones. Then she's worthless, one of the other men said. Wrong. Adrian stepped sideways, positioning himself between Lena and the men. She's got information, names, accounts, passwords. Chen was living with her for 3 years. He got sloppy. Lena's mind raced. She didn't have any of that, but Adrian was selling it like gospel, and the men were buying it. So we take her, make her talk, Garrett said. And learn what? That Chen liked his coffee black and watched baseball? She doesn't know anything useful yet, but she will. Adrian pulled out his phone, made a show of checking something. Chen's pattern is predictable. He'll reach out. He'll try to explain. And when he does, we'll know where he is. We? The organization. Don't pretend you're making decisions here, Garrett. You're middle management on a good day. Garrett's face flushed. Watch it. Or what? You'll shoot me in front of a civilian and hope Mikhail doesn't care? Adrian tilted his head. Make the call. Tell him Marcus Chen's ex-fiancé is here and you want to hold her without authorization. See what he says. The name Mikhail landed differently than the others. Garrett's hand finally left his jacket. The other two men exchanged glances. 48 hours, Garrett finally said. Chen contacts her. We want to know immediately. Deal. And Voss? If you're playing us, you'll do what? Send strongly worded emails? Adrian was already moving, guiding Lena toward the door with a hand on her elbow. 48 hours. I'll be in touch. They made it outside before Lena's knees buckled. Adrian caught her, kept her upright, steered her toward the car. The driver, the one with the shoulders, already had the door open. Go, Adrian said. Now. The car peeled away from the curb fast enough to leave rubber. Lena stared at the warehouse receding behind them, half expecting gunfire, explosions, something cinematic. Instead, there was just Brooklyn rolling past and her heart trying to escape through her throat. What the hell was that? She managed. A negotiation. That wasn't a negotiation. That was... She stopped, breathing hard. Who's Mikhail? Someone you don't want to meet. Adrian. Later. Not in the car. He was right. The driver could hear everything. Lena pressed her lips together and watched the city blur past. Her phone buzzed twice more. She ignored it. They didn't go back to the plaza. Instead, the car wound through Manhattan until it stopped in front of a brownstone in the West Village, nondescript except for its perfect maintenance. Adrian led her inside without explanation, through a foyer that smelled like old money and lemon polish, up 2 flights of stairs to an apartment that was all windows and minimalist furniture. Where are we? Lena asked. Somewhere safe. Adrian moved to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of water from a bottle in the fridge. He handed her one. Drink. She did, mostly because she didn't know what else to do. The water was cold and clean and did nothing to settle her stomach. Sit, Adrian said, gesturing to the couch. I don't want to sit. I want answers. Then stand. But let me explain before you decide I'm the villain here. Are you? The villain? Probably. Depends on your definition. He set his glass down, ran a hand through his hair. For the first time since she'd met him, he looked uncertain. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with who you really are. I told you, Adrian Voss, that part's true. And the consultant part? Also true, technically. I consult for an organization that moves money and assets for people who can't do it through traditional channels. Sometimes that's because they're avoiding taxes. Sometimes it's because the money came from places governments don't like. And sometimes, he paused, sometimes it's because the money doesn't legally exist. Lena absorbed this. You're a criminal. I facilitate transactions. Whether that makes me a criminal depends on which laws you care about and which country you're standing in. That's a fancy way of saying yes. It's a realistic way of saying the world is more complicated than legal and illegal. Her phone buzzed again. This time she looked. 3 messages from Marcus, all variations of the same thing. I'm sorry. I'll explain. Don't trust Voss. He keeps texting, she said. I know. How do you... She stopped. Are you tracking my phone? No, but I know Marcus. He's panicking. He took something from people who kill over less, and now he's trying to manage the fallout. Adrian moved closer, not quite invading her space, but near enough that she had to look up to meet his eyes. Tell me what he's saying. Why would I do that? Because 20 minutes ago, 3 men considered killing you to send Marcus a message. Because you're in this now, whether you want to be or not. And because I'm the only person in this city who has a reason to keep you alive. What reason? You're useful. Garrett bought my story about you having information, which means the organization will too, at least for a while. That buys us time. Us? There's no us. I don't even know you. You know I got you out of that warehouse. You know I could have let them take you and walked away. But I didn't. He pulled out his own phone, typed something. Marcus is playing a game he doesn't understand. He thinks he's smart enough to outrun people who've been doing this for decades. He's wrong. And if you stay connected to him, you'll go down with him. Lena wanted to argue, but the text on her phone screen made it hard. I'll fix this, I promise. Just stay away from Voss. What did Marcus steal? She asked. A ledger. Digital, encrypted, supposedly impossible to copy. It contains financial records dating back 30 years. Transactions that would collapse governments if they went public. And Marcus just took it? Apparently, we're still trying to figure out how. Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. He's smarter than we gave him credit for, or dumber. Haven't decided which yet. Why would he do this? Money, probably. Someone offered him enough to take the risk, or Adrian stopped. Or what? Or he's been working against us the whole time and we were too blind to see it. The apartment's intercom buzzed, harsh and sudden. Adrian's entire body went rigid. He moved to the panel by the door, pressed a button. Yes? Package for Voss. A woman's voice, flat and professional. I didn't order anything. It's from Chen. Adrian looked at Lena. Something passed across his face, calculation, concern, maybe fear. He pressed another button, and the lobby camera feed appeared on a screen. A woman in a courier uniform stood holding a small box. Stay here, Adrian said. What? No, if that's from Marcus… Exactly. Stay here. He was already moving, pulling on a jacket, checking something in his pocket that looked suspiciously like a weapon. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone. Adrian, but he was gone. The door clicking shut behind him. Lena rushed to the window, pressed her face against the glass. 3 stories down, Adrian emerged from the building. The courier handed him the box. They spoke briefly. Then Adrian was coming back inside and the courier was walking away, and Lena realized she'd been holding her breath. He returned carrying the box like it might explode. Maybe it would. What is it? Lena asked. Don't know yet. He set it on the kitchen counter, examined it from every angle. No ticking, no wires visible through the tape, just a plain cardboard box with Adrian's name written in marker. Are you going to open it? Eventually. When? When I'm sure it won't kill us both. He pulled out a knife, actual knife, not metaphorical, and carefully slit the tape. Inside was bubble wrap. Inside that was a phone. Cheap, prepaid, the kind you bought at convenience stores with cash. It buzzed to life the moment Adrian touched it. A single text message appeared. Call me. Alone. M. He's got balls, I'll give him that, Adrian muttered. Let me talk to him, Lena said. No. He's my fiancé. Ex-fiancé. And he's using you as leverage. The moment you get on the phone, you become a target. I'm already a target. You said so yourself. Adrian stared at the phone, jaw working. Then he hit the call button and put it on speaker. It rang once. Marcus answered. Adrian. His voice sounded thin, stretched. Didn't expect you to actually call. What do you want, Chen? To explain. I'm listening. Not to you, to Lena. Is she there? Adrian looked at her. Lena nodded, moving closer to the phone. I'm here, she said, and her voice only shook a little. Lena, thank everything. Are you okay? Am I okay? Marcus, what the hell is happening? I know you're confused. I know I messed up. But I need you to listen to me, and I need you to trust me one more time. Trust you? You stole our money. You disappeared. She stopped, the full weight of it crashing down again. You've been lying to me for 3 years. No, not about us. Never about us. Everything else maybe, but not that. What's the difference? The difference is I love you. That was real. That is real. And I'm trying to keep you safe. Adrian made a sound that might have been a laugh or a cough. Marcus heard it. Voss is lying to you, Marcus continued. Whatever he's told you, it's not the truth. He's not the good guy here. Neither are you, Lena shot back. Silence on the other end. Then, you're right, I'm not. But I'm trying to be. That's why I took the ledger. There are things in it, things about people you know, about your family. Lena's blood went cold. What are you talking about? Your father, David Carter. He was involved with the organization 20 years ago. The ledger proves it. That's impossible. My father was an accountant. He died when I was 12. He was an accountant for the wrong people. And he didn't die, Lena. He was killed because he knew too much. The room tilted. Adrian caught her arm, steadied her. She shook him off. You're lying, she said, but the conviction wasn't there. I have proof. That's what I took. Not just financial records, evidence. Names, dates, transactions. Your father's in there, and so is Adrian's. Want to know what they have in common? Marcus paused. They both worked for Mikhail Volkov, and they both ended up dead when they tried to leave. Adrian's expression had gone completely blank. My father had a heart attack. That's what they told you. Did you ever see the autopsy report? This is garbage, Adrian said, reaching for the phone. Chen's trying to... My father's alive, Marcus interrupted. Did they tell you that, Voss? Did they mention James Chen is living under witness protection because he testified against Volkov 15 years ago? Adrian's hand froze halfway to the phone. That's what I thought, Marcus continued. They told you he abandoned the family, that he couldn't handle the pressure. But the truth is, he chose the government over the organization, and they've been punishing him for it ever since, including, his voice cracked slightly, including leveraging his son. If this is true, Lena said slowly, why didn't you tell me before? Because I just found out. I've been with the organization for 8 years, Lena. 8 years thinking I was doing legitimate consulting work. High-end clients, confidential transactions, nothing illegal. Then 2 weeks ago, I saw the ledger during an audit. I saw my father's name. Your father's name. I saw what they really were. What they really are. And I couldn't... He stopped. I couldn't marry you without telling you. Without getting you out. So your solution was to steal from murderers and clean out our bank account? The money was insurance, and I'm sorry, I really am, but I needed it. I'm trying to make this right. By dragging me into it? You were always in it. Your father made sure of that. The moment David Carter signed on with Volkov, his entire family became collateral. They've been watching you your whole life, Lena. Why do you think you never had trouble getting loans? Why your sister's startup got funding with barely a business plan? It's all them. It's always been them. Lena sat down hard on the couch. This was insane. This was paranoid conspiracy theory garbage. Her father had been boring. He'd worn khakis and button-downs and driven a Honda Civic. He'd helped her with math homework and complained about property taxes and died of a brain aneurysm during a work trip to Chicago. Except she'd never seen his body. Her mother had said he'd already been cremated, that she'd wanted to spare them the trauma. They'd had a memorial service with a closed urn and lilies, and everyone saying what a good man David Carter had been. How do I know you're not lying? She whispered. You don't. Not until you see the ledger. That's why I need you to meet me. Absolutely not, Adrian said. That's the trap, Lena. He gets you somewhere isolated, uses you as a bargaining chip that... I'm not bargaining with anyone, Sarah, Marcus interrupted. I'm trying to get us both out. There's a buyer, someone outside the organization who will pay enough for the ledger that we can disappear. Really disappear. New names, new lives, somewhere Volkov can't reach. But I need you to verify what's in it. I need someone who knew your father, who can confirm the details. Otherwise, the buyer won't trust it's real. This is insane. I know. But it's also true. Meet me tomorrow, noon, public place, plenty of people. You can even bring Voss if it makes you feel safer. How generous, Adrian muttered. 48 hours, Marcus said, ignoring him. That's all I'm asking. Then you can decide who's lying and who's trying to save your life. He paused. I love you, Lena. I know you don't believe that right now, but I do. And I'm sorry I couldn't tell you before. I'm sorry for all of it. The line went dead. Lena stared at the phone. Adrian picked it up, turned it over in his hands like he could extract more information through touch alone. He's lying, Adrian finally said. You don't know that. I know Marcus Chen. I know how he operates. This is textbook manipulation. Find an emotional lever and pull until the target does what you want. What if he's not lying? What if my father really was... She couldn't finish the sentence. Adrian sat down across from her, elbows on his knees. Your father was an accountant? Yes. What firm? I don't remember. I was 12 when he died. Mom never talked about his work. Where's your mother now? Arizona. She remarried 5 years ago. We don't talk much. But she'd remember. Probably. Why? Adrian pulled out his own phone, started typing. Because if Chen's telling the truth, there'll be records. Employment history, tax documents, something. And if he's lying, we'll know that too. And then what? Then you decide if you want to meet him tomorrow. What do you think I should do? Adrian looked up at her, and for the first time since they'd met, he seemed uncertain. Honestly, I think you should get on a plane back to wherever you came from and forget any of this happened. Let me handle Marcus. Let the organization clean up its own mess and go live your life. But if even 10% of what Chen said is true, you're not safe anywhere. Volkov doesn't forget, and he doesn't forgive. If your father really was involved, he stopped, then you've been living on borrowed time for 20 years, and you didn't even know it. Lena's phone buzzed. Not Marcus this time. Emily. You never called me back. What's going on? Are you in trouble? Was she in trouble? That felt like the understatement of the century. It's complicated, she typed back. I'll call you soon. I promise. Lena, you're scaring me. I'm okay. Really. Just dealing with some stuff. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. Does this have to do with Marcus? Yes. Did he hurt you? Not physically. Do you need me to come home? Lena stared at the message. Emily would come home. Would drop everything, get on a plane, show up ready to fight. That's what sisters did. But what if Marcus was right? What if being near Lena was dangerous? No, she typed. Stay in Singapore. I'll explain everything when this is over. When what is over? Soon. I love you. She put the phone down before Emily could respond with more questions Lena couldn't answer. Food, Adrian said, standing abruptly. You should eat something. I'm not hungry. You haven't eaten since yesterday. You need food. He was right, though her stomach felt like a clenched fist. Adrian moved to the kitchen, started pulling things from the fridge. Bread, cheese, something that might have been fancy deli meat. He assembled sandwiches with the precision of someone who'd learned to cook alone. They ate in silence. The sandwich was good, which seemed unfair. Everything was falling apart, and here she was noticing the quality of the bread. Tell me about your father, Adrian said after a while. Why? Because if we're doing this, if you're actually considering meeting Marcus, I need to know what we're walking into. Lena set down her sandwich. I don't remember much. He traveled a lot for work, always tired when he came home. He'd watch TV and fall asleep on the couch. She paused, pulling up fragments of memory. He was quiet. Mom did most of the talking. He just kind of existed in the background. Did he seem afraid, paranoid? I was 12. Everyone seemed normal. What about after he died? Did anything change? We moved. Mom said it was too expensive to keep the house. We went from a 4-bedroom in the suburbs to a 2-bedroom apartment downtown. She frowned. Actually, yeah, that was weird. Dad had life insurance. Mom said so, but we still had to downsize. Maybe the insurance didn't pay out. Why wouldn't it? Lots of reasons. Suicide clauses, suspicious circumstances. Adrian leaned back. Did your mother ever remarry before Arizona guy? No. She dated a little, but nothing serious. Said she couldn't do it again. Do it again or couldn't risk it again? Lena's head snapped up. You think she knows? I think if your father was involved with Volkov, your mother either knew or suspected. And I think that's terrified her for 20 years. The pieces started fitting together, puzzle pieces Lena hadn't known she was collecting. Her mother's insistence that they keep a low profile. Her paranoia about social media, about sharing personal information. The way she'd pushed Lena toward boring, stable choices. Teaching, accounting, anything far from risk. I need to call her, Lena said. Not on your phone. Why not? Because if Chen's right, and they've been watching you, they're listening too. Anything you say, they hear. He pulled out a laptop, opened it, typed a series of commands that looked like movie hacking. We can use this. Encrypted call. Harder to trace. Harder isn't impossible. Nothing's impossible, but this buys us a margin. He set up the call, handed her headphones. Lena's hands shook as she dialed her mother's number. It rang 4 times. 5. On the 6th ring, her mother picked up. Hello? Mom, it's me. Lena, why are you calling from a strange number? Is everything okay? No, Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Silence on the other end. Not confused silence, wary silence. What kind of question? Her mother finally said. About Dad, about his work, about how he died. The silence stretched longer this time. In the background, Lena could hear a TV playing, maybe a ceiling fan. Your father had an aneurysm, her mother said, but her voice had gone careful. You know this. Do I? Or is that just what you told us? Lena, what's going on? Where are you? New York. New York? I thought you and Marcus were moving to Denver. Marcus is gone. He left. And he told me things about Dad, about people Dad worked for. I need to know if it's true. I don't know what you're talking about. Mom, please. Was Dad involved with someone named Mikhail Volkov? The sound her mother made wasn't quite a gasp, wasn't quite a sob. It was the noise of 20 years of secrets cracking open all at once. You need to hang up, her mother whispered. Right now. Don't call me again. Don't come to Arizona. Just leave it alone, Lena. For once in your life, leave something alone. I can't. I'm already in it. Then get out. Run. Change your name. Go somewhere they won't look and run. Who's they? I can't. Her mother's voice broke. I can't talk about this. Not on the phone. Not ever. Your father made a choice, and we've been paying for it for 20 years. Don't make it worse. So it's true. He did work for them. He didn't have a choice. They promised him. She stopped. It doesn't matter what they promised. He believed them, and it got him killed. And I swore I'd keep you girls safe, keep you out of it. But if you're calling me asking about Volkov, then I failed. I failed, and now I'm what, Mom? You're dead. You just don't know it yet. The line went dead. Lena sat frozen, headphones still on, listening to empty air. Adrian gently took them off her, closed the laptop. She confirmed it, Lena said numbly. Yeah. My whole life has been a lie. Welcome to the club, she laughed, which was maybe hysteria. Your father too? Apparently, according to Chen anyway. Adrian stood, paced to the window. The question is, what do we do about it? We? You think I'm walking away now? Whatever Chen took, it has my father's name in it too. I want to see it. Even if it means meeting Marcus? Especially if it means meeting Marcus. Because either he's telling the truth and we both deserve to know, or he's lying and I get to make him regret it. Adrian turned back to her. Your choice, though. I'm not dragging you into this if you don't want to be here. Lena thought about her apartment, the one she'd already given up. Thought about Denver and the life she'd packed into boxes. Thought about Marcus and the ring she was still wearing and the texts that kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. She pulled off the ring, set it on the coffee table, looked at it for a long moment. Noon tomorrow, she said. Where? Adrian texted back on the burner phone Marcus had sent. Simple, direct, Grand Central, main concourse, noon. The reply came 30 seconds later. Too public, they'll have people there. That's the point, Adrian typed. Public means witnesses, means you can't disappear her. Another pause, longer this time. Then, fine, but come alone. She's bringing me or she's not coming. Then you're both dead. Adrian showed Lena the screen. She read it twice, then shrugged. He's bluffing. Maybe. Or maybe he's desperate enough to be stupid. Adrian pocketed the phone. We should sleep. Tomorrow's going to be ugly either way. Sleep felt impossible, but Lena's body had other ideas. Adrian set her up in the bedroom, his bedroom, apparently, though he didn't say it, and took the couch himself. She lay in the dark listening to the city beyond the windows, sirens and car horns, and the distant rumble of the subway. Sounds she'd never heard before 48 hours ago. Now they were the soundtrack to her life falling apart in a completely different location. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She almost ignored it, but the notification showed Emily's name with 4 missed calls. Lena grabbed it, stepped into the bathroom, and called back before she could overthink it. Emily answered on the first ring. Finally, what the hell, Lena? I know, I'm sorry. Things got complicated. Complicated how? You said Marcus left. Did he come back? Are you safe? I'm safe. And no, he didn't come back. Not exactly. Lena sat on the edge of the pristine bathtub, suddenly exhausted again. I need to ask you something about Dad. The silence on the other end was immediate and telling. What about Dad? Emily finally asked, her voice careful. What do you remember about his work, about when he died, about any of it? Why are you asking this now? Because Marcus told me things about Dad working for dangerous people. And then I called Mom and she basically confirmed it before hanging up on me. Emily let out a long breath. I was hoping you'd never have to know. Lena's heart dropped. You knew? Not everything, but enough. Mom told me some of it when I turned 18, made me promise not to tell you. Emily's voice went smaller. I'm sorry. I wanted to, so many times, but she said it would put you in danger if you knew. That the less you understood, the safer you'd be. What did she tell you? That Dad worked for people who made problems disappear. Financial problems, mostly. Dirty money that needed to look clean. He was good at it, apparently. Too good. And when he tried to stop, when he said he wanted out, Emily's voice caught. They killed him, Lena. Made it look natural, but Mom knew. She's always known. The bathroom tiles were cold under Lena's bare feet. She focused on that, on something physical and real, while everything else disintegrated. Why didn't you tell me? Lena whispered. Because Mom was right. You didn't need to carry that. You got to live a normal life, go to college, fall in love with a nice boring guy. Emily stopped. Except Marcus wasn't boring, was he? No, turns out he wasn't. Is he one of them? The people Dad worked for? I don't know, maybe. He says he's trying to get out, that he took something to protect us. But Adrian, who's Adrian? Right. She hadn't mentioned Adrian. Long story. He's involved too. Different side, same organization. I think. It's confusing. Lena, where are you right now? New York, in Adrian's apartment. You're staying with a stranger who's involved with the people who killed Dad? Have you lost your mind? Probably. But I don't know who else to trust. Marcus is gone. Mom won't talk. And Adrian's the only person who's actually tried to help. Or he's trying to use you. Did that occur to you? It had. Multiple times. But there was something about the way Adrian looked at her, like he saw someone worth protecting rather than something to exploit. Of course, that could be manipulation too. She'd thought Marcus was reliable, and look how that turned out. I'm meeting Marcus tomorrow, Lena said. He says he has proof about Dad, documents or something. I need to see them. Don't, Lena, please. Whatever Marcus has, it's not worth your life. What if it's the truth? Don't I deserve to know the truth? Emily was quiet for a long moment. You sound like Dad. Right before he died, he was obsessed with the truth. Said people deserved to know what was happening with their money, where it really went. Mom begged him to let it go. And then one day he flew to Chicago for a conference and never came home. I'm not Dad. No, but you're just as stubborn and just as convinced you can fix things that are better left broken. Emily's voice softened. I can't lose you, too. You're all I have left. You're not going to lose me. Promise me. Promise you'll be careful. I promise. They hung up a few minutes later, Emily still worried, Lena still confused. She crept back to the bedroom, climbed under covers that smelled like expensive detergent, and stared at the ceiling until exhaustion finally won. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. The clock on the nightstand read 8:47. Adrian was in the kitchen again, this time making eggs that actually looked edible. You cook? Lena said from the doorway. I eat, so I learned. He gestured at the table where 2 plates waited. Hungry? She was, surprisingly. They ate in silence, and Lena found herself studying him. Adrian Voss, consultant for criminals, son of a dead man who maybe wasn't dead from natural causes. He moved efficiently, economically, like someone trained to waste nothing, not motion, not words, not opportunities. What? He said, catching her staring. Just trying to figure you out. Let me know if you succeed. I've been trying for years. He finished his eggs, pushed the plate away. We need to talk about today. I know. Grand Central at noon means crowds. Easy to get lost, hard to control. Marcus will use that. He'll try to separate us, get you alone. So we don't let him. Easier said than done. He knows you, knows how you think. He'll say something that makes you want to hear him out privately. Adrian's expression hardened. When that happens, and it will, you don't go with him, no matter what he says, no matter what he promises. Understand? What if he's telling the truth? What if he really does have proof? Then he can show it to both of us in public. If he's legitimate, he won't need privacy. It made sense, which didn't mean it felt right. Part of Lena still wanted to believe Marcus had reasons, that underneath the lies was something worth salvaging. But that part was getting quieter, drowned out by everything else. Adrian's phone buzzed. Not the burner, his regular phone. He glanced at it, and his entire posture changed. What? Lena asked. Garrett. He wants a meeting before noon. That's not suspicious at all. No, it's a trap. Question is, what kind? He typed a response, showed her. Where? The answer came back immediately. Same place as yesterday. 1 hour. We're not going, Lena said. We have to. If we don't show, Garrett gets suspicious, starts wondering why we're avoiding him, might even send people to find us. Adrian stood, already moving toward the bedroom. Get dressed. Something you can run in if necessary. 20 minutes later, they were back in the black car, heading to Brooklyn. The driver, a different one this time, older, with scars on his knuckles, didn't speak at all. Adrian spent the ride on his phone, texting people in languages Lena didn't recognize. Who are you talking to? She asked. Insurance. What kind of insurance? The kind that keeps us alive if this goes wrong. The warehouse looked exactly the same in daylight, which somehow made it worse. Sunlight showed the rust on the metal doors, the broken windows on the upper floors, the general decay of a building nobody cared about anymore. Adrian's hand hovered near his jacket pocket as they entered. Garrett was waiting with the same 2 men from yesterday, plus 3 more Lena didn't recognize. Not good odds. Voss, Garrett said, friendlier than last time. Bad sign. And the girlfriend. Thanks for coming. She's not my girlfriend. And you said this was urgent. It is. Change of plans regarding Chen. The organization wants him found, but they want him alive. Mikhail's orders. He's got questions only Chen can answer. Okay, and? And we think you know where he is. Adrian's expression didn't change. If I knew where Marcus was, I'd have delivered him already. With a bow. Would you? Because word is you've been having private conversations. Using burner phones. Making plans. Garrett smiled, and it wasn't pleasant. We track everything, Voss. You know that. So stop pretending you're not in contact with Chen and tell us where the meet is. Lena's stomach dropped. They knew. Of course they knew. Adrian had said it himself last night. They were always listening. The meet's at noon, Adrian said calmly. Grand Central. We were planning to bring him in quietly, avoid a scene. But if you want to crash it with 6 guys and make it messy, be my guest. Garrett studied him, trying to find the lie. Just like that? You're giving him up? Chen's a problem. I solve problems. That's what I do. Adrian shrugged. Besides, he's threatening the girl. Can't have that. Touching. Since when do you care about collateral? Since she became useful. She's the leverage that gets Chen to the table. You shoot her, you lose your bait. The logic was sound, but Garrett wasn't buying it. Lena could see him working through scenarios, looking for angles. Here's what's going to happen, Garrett finally said. You 2 go to Grand Central like planned. But you're wearing wires, and we're going to have people in position. Chen shows up, you keep him talking until we can grab him. Clean, simple, nobody gets hurt. Except Chen. Except Chen, Garrett agreed. We good? Do I have a choice? No. Adrian nodded slowly. Then we're good. One of the new guys, tall, built like he ate nails for breakfast, stepped forward with a small case. Inside were 2 tiny microphones, professional grade, the kind federal agents used in movies. He handed one to Adrian, gestured for Lena to turn around. I'll do it, Adrian said, taking the second device. She's not comfortable with strangers. The guy shrugged, not caring. Adrian clipped the microphone to Lena's collar, his fingers quick and professional. When he pulled back, his eyes met hers with something that looked like an apology. They left 5 minutes later, both wired, both trapped. The car ride back to Manhattan was silent except for Adrian's occasional directions to the driver. Lena wanted to ask questions, wanted to know what the plan was now, but the microphones made conversation impossible. Everything they said, Garrett would hear. Adrian pulled out his phone, typed something, showed her the screen. Don't talk. They're listening. She nodded. He typed again. I have a plan. Trust me. Did she? Lena studied his face. The careful neutrality, the calculated calm. He'd lied to her about who he was, had dragged her into this mess, or at least hadn't stopped her from diving in head first, but he'd also pulled her out of that warehouse yesterday when he could have walked away. She took his phone, typed, What plan? Can't explain, no time, just follow my lead at Grand Central. And Marcus? Adrian's jaw tightened. He typed, Marcus is the least of our problems now. They went back to the apartment. Adrian disappeared into the bedroom, came back with a small black bag. Inside were things Lena didn't want to examine too closely. Wire cutters, something that looked like a taser, cash in multiple currencies. "Are we running?" she whispered, forgetting about the microphone. Adrian pressed a finger to his lips, pointed at her collar. Right. They were still broadcasting. He gestured for her to follow him into the bathroom, turned on the shower full blast. The rush of water would mask their voices, at least partially. "We're not running," he said quietly, "but we're not working for Garrett either. The moment Chen shows up, this turns into a bloodbath. Garrett's people will try to take him, Marcus will try to escape, and you'll be in the middle of it. So what do? We get the ledger from Marcus before Garrett gets Marcus. Then we disappear. All three of us, if necessary. You want to help Marcus? After everything? I want the truth. Same as you. And the only way we get that is if Chen stays alive long enough to explain himself." Adrian checked his watch. "We've got 90 minutes. I need you to listen carefully." He laid out the plan. It was complicated and stupid and absolutely insane. It also might work, assuming about 15 things went perfectly right and nothing went catastrophically wrong. "That's your plan?" Lena said when he finished. "That's bad. I know. But it's what we've got." He turned off the shower. "Get ready. Wear the jacket I put on the bed. It's got pockets you'll need." She did as instructed, moving on autopilot now. The jacket was heavier than it looked, weighted with something sewn into the lining. Adrian caught her noticing. "Kevlar," he said, not bothering to lower his voice anymore. "Let Garrett hear. Light grade. Won't stop a rifle, but it'll help with handguns." "You think they'll shoot at us?" "I think we should plan for worst case and hope for best case." They left the apartment at 11:15. The city was bright and loud, full of people going about normal Friday routines, tourists taking photos, business people grabbing lunch, students cutting class. Nobody looked at them twice. Just another couple navigating Manhattan, except they weren't a couple, and they weren't navigating. They were walking into something that could end with everyone dead. Grand Central Terminal was exactly as crowded as Adrian had predicted. Thousands of people moving through the main concourse like blood cells through an artery, purposeful, mostly unaware of each other, focused on their own destinations. The ceiling arched overhead, painted constellations glowing in the filtered light. "Beautiful, isn't it?" someone said behind them. Lena spun. Marcus stood 3 feet away, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses that didn't quite hide his face. He looked terrible, thinner, pale, with dark circles under his eyes that makeup couldn't cover. "You came," he said, looking at Lena like Adrian wasn't there. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "I wasn't sure. After everything, I wouldn't have blamed you." He glanced around, scanning the crowd. "We should move. Too exposed here." "We're fine here," Adrian said. "No, we're not. Garrett's got at least 8 people in this building. I counted 6 already." Marcus's eyes were wild, jumping from face to face. "They're going to try to take me the moment I give you the ledger. We need somewhere more private." "Convenient how that works out for you," Adrian said. "Voss, I'm not the enemy here. I know you think I am, but I'm not. I'm trying to save her." Marcus looked at Lena again. "Everything I said on the phone was true. Your father, my father, Volkov, all of it. The ledger proves it. But if Garrett gets his hands on it, the proof disappears and we're all dead, so we move. Now." "Show us the ledger first," Lena said. "Right here. Then we'll talk about moving." "I don't have it with me. You think I'm that stupid? It's in a safe location. We go there, I give it to you, you confirm what's in it, and then we all leave. Together. Like we should have done 3 days ago." Adrian's hand moved toward his pocket. Marcus saw it. "Don't," Marcus said quietly. "Please. I'm not armed. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want out. We all should want out." "Where's the ledger?" Adrian asked. "Brooklyn, storage facility near the Navy Yard, 30 minutes by car. I've got one waiting." "Of course you do." "Adrian," Lena said, "we should at least look. If he's telling the truth, why doesn't he just email us the files? Why does it have to be this elaborate production?" Adrian moved closer to Marcus, voice dropping. "What's really going on here, Chen? Who's paying you?" Marcus's expression flickered, surprise maybe, or fear. Nobody's paying me. This isn't about money. Everything's about money. You taught me that. Then I taught you wrong. Marcus pulled something from his pocket. For a second, Lena thought gun, but it was just a phone. He pulled up a photo, showed it to both of them. You want to know what this is about? That's what this is about. The photo showed a man in his 60s, Asian, wearing an orange jumpsuit. He sat in what looked like a prison visiting room, smiling at the camera despite the circumstances. My father, Marcus said, James Chen. Witness protection ended 2 months ago. Budget cuts, case closed, whatever excuse they gave. Now he's back in Gen Pop in a federal facility, surrounded by people who'd kill him for a carton of cigarettes if they knew who he was. His voice cracked. Volkov knows. His people inside know. My father has 3 months, maybe 6, before someone shanks him in the shower, unless I give them the ledger. Wait, Lena said. You're giving it to Volkov? To a buyer who'll give it to Volkov, yeah. In exchange for my father's safety and our freedom. It's the only play I've got left. Adrian laughed, cold and sharp. You're insane. Volkov's going to kill your father anyway. Kill you, and probably kill anyone you've ever spoken to just to make a point. That's how this works. Not if the ledger disappears first. Not if everyone thinks it's destroyed. Marcus looked at Lena. That's where you come in. You verify what's in it, confirm your father's transactions, the dates, everything. Then we make a copy. I give Volkov the original, let him think he's won. Meanwhile, the copy goes to someone who can actually use it. A journalist, maybe. Someone who'll publish before Volkov can stop them. And you think Volkov won't trace that back to you? Adrian said. Probably, but by then my father will be safe and I'll be gone. Acceptable losses. What about Lena? Where does she fit in your acceptable losses? Marcus's face went hard. She fits in the only reason I'm still alive category. I love her. That's real. Everything else was lies, but not that. You stole $9,000 from her to buy us passports, travel documents, new identities for when this is over. He pulled out an envelope, handed it to Lena. It's all in there, yours and mine. We can start over, really start over, somewhere Volkov can't reach. Lena opened the envelope. Inside were 2 passports with her face and Marcus's, different names, different birth dates. Plane tickets to Costa Rica dated for tomorrow morning. Bank statements showing accounts with $50,000 each. Where did you get this money? She whispered. Advance from the buyer. Half now, half on delivery. I'm giving you your share. Whether you come with me or not, it's yours. Because I meant what I said. I'm trying to make this right. By selling stolen documents to criminals and fleeing the country? By keeping us both alive. Marcus looked past them, face going pale. We need to move. Now. Garrett's people are closing in. Adrian followed his gaze. 3 men in business casual were moving through the crowd. Not quite running, but definitely hunting. One of them spoke into his wrist, old school cop move. Damn it, Adrian muttered. He grabbed Lena's hand. Come on. They ran. Grand Central became a blur of marble and brass and confused tourists. Adrian moved like he'd mapped the exits in his head, pulling Lena through service doors and down hallways that weren't meant for public access. Marcus kept pace behind them, breathing hard. Where are we going? Lena gasped. Anywhere that's not here. They burst out onto 42nd Street, and the noise hit like a wall. Traffic, construction, a million people living their lives while Lena's imploded. Adrian hailed a cab with the confidence of someone who'd done this before. Brooklyn, he told the driver. Navy Yard, fast. The driver didn't ask questions, just pulled into traffic with the aggressive expertise of a New York cabbie. Through the rear window, Lena saw Garrett's men emerge from the terminal, scanning the street. They saw us, she said. I know, but they can't follow what they can't catch. Adrian pulled out his phone, did something that made the screen flash. When he put it back, he was smiling grimly. Microphones are dead, signals jammed. We've got maybe 20 minutes before they figure out where we went. Then what? Then we get the ledger, confirm it's real, and decide what to do next. Marcus leaned forward from the back seat. Thank you for trusting me. I know I don't deserve it, but... Save it, Adrian said. We're not doing this for you. We're doing it for her father and mine. If you're lying, if this is some elaborate setup, I will personally make sure you regret being born. Understood. They drove in tense silence, crossing into Brooklyn, winding through neighborhoods that went from gentrified to industrial in the space of 6 blocks. The storage facility was exactly what Marcus had described: chain-link fence, security cameras that might or might not work, units that looked like they predated the internet. Marcus paid the cab, led them to Unit 47. He had the key ready, hands shaking slightly as he unlocked the rolling door. It opened with a screech of metal on metal. Inside was a card table, a laptop, and a small fireproof safe. "It's encrypted," Marcus said, opening the safe and pulling out a flash drive. "Multiple layers. I've been working on breaking it for 2 weeks. Got through most of it, but some sections are still locked." He plugged the drive into the laptop, entered a series of passwords. "This is everything I could access. Transactions going back 30 years. Names, dates, amounts, account numbers. It's all here." The screen filled with data. Lena leaned closer, scanning the columns of numbers and names. And there, halfway down the first page, she saw it. David Carter, $250,000, marked as cleansing fee. The date was from 23 years ago, 6 months before she was born. Her father, taking money from monsters to make other money disappear. "Keep scrolling," Marcus said quietly. More names appeared. Robert Voss, Adrian's father, listed dozens of times with amounts ranging from $50,000 to $2 million. Then James Chen with similar entries. Then hundreds of other names Lena didn't recognize, probably didn't want to recognize. "How many people?" she whispered. "In the ledger? Almost 3,000 over 3 decades. Accountants, lawyers, bankers, politicians, all working for Volkov in one capacity or another. Some knowingly, some not, all compromised." Marcus pulled up another file. "This is the important one. The deals that went bad. The people who tried to leave." David Carter's name appeared again. This time with a red notation. Terminated, Chicago, 2008. Threat level mitigated. Adrian found his father's entry. Same red notation, different city. Terminated, Boston, 2010. Threat level mitigated. "They killed them," Lena said, though she'd already known. Hearing her mother confirm it was one thing. Seeing it written in clinical corporate language was another. "They just killed them. And made it look natural," Marcus added. "Aneurysm, heart attack, car accident, whatever fit. They're good at it. They've had practice." Adrian stared at the screen, face unreadable. "How did you get this?" "I told you. I was doing an audit, saw something off, dug deeper. Found the ledger hidden in Garrett's office system. Encrypted, but not well enough. So I copied it, planned my exit, and—" Marcus stopped. "And here we are." "Here we are," Adrian echoed. He pulled out his phone, started taking photos of the screen. "We need to document all of this, every name, every transaction. If something happens to that drive—" "Nothing's going to happen to the drive. I'm delivering it tomorrow." "To who?" "A man named Sergei Koslov. He's one of Volkov's competitors. Russian, obviously, based in Brighton Beach. He's been trying to take down Volkov for years. This ledger is his weapon." "And you trust him?" "I don't trust anyone, but his money's real, and his motivation is clear. He gets the ledger, Volkov goes down, my father gets protection. Everyone wins. Except the 3,000 people in that file who'll be exposed." Marcus's expression hardened. They made their choices. They knew what they were signing up for. Did they? Did my father know? Lena couldn't look away from the screen, from her father's name repeated over and over. He was an accountant. Maybe he thought it was legitimate work. Maybe he didn't know until it was too late. Then he should have gone to the police. And end up like your father? In witness protection that apparently expires? Or like Adrian's father? Dead and cremated before anyone could ask questions. The silence in the storage unit was absolute. Outside, traffic hummed past. Inside, 3 people stared at a laptop full of terrible truths nobody wanted but couldn't ignore. Adrian finally broke the silence. "Make me a copy." "What?" "The drive. Copy everything. I want my own version before you hand it over to Russian mob bosses and hope for the best." Marcus hesitated. "That's not the deal." "The deal changed when Garrett put tracking devices on us and sent 6 guys to grab you at Grand Central. Make me a copy or I walk out of here and tell Volkov's people exactly where you are." "You wouldn't." "Try me." They stared at each other, tension thick enough to cut. Then Marcus pulled a blank drive from his pocket, started the transfer. It took 8 minutes. 8 minutes of watching a progress bar crawl across the screen while Lena tried to process everything she'd learned in the last hour. Her father had been a criminal, not a mastermind, probably not even willing, but complicit nonetheless. He'd taken money to hide money, and when he'd tried to stop, they'd killed him. Her entire childhood had been a lie built on blood money and fear. Her mother had known. Her sister had known. Everyone had known except her. The transfer completed. Marcus handed Adrian the copy. Happy? Not remotely, but it's a start. Adrian pocketed the drive. What now? Now Lena and I go meet Kozlov. You go back to Volkov and play dumb. Tell them you lost us in the crowd, that Marcus got away. They'll believe it because they want to believe it. Buys us time. And after Kozlov gets the ledger? After that, I don't care. I'll be on a plane to Costa Rica with or without. Marcus looked at Lena. Will you come with me? I know I don't deserve to ask. I know I've destroyed everything, but I'm asking anyway. Will you come? Lena looked at the passport still in her pocket, at the plane tickets and bank statements, at Marcus standing there looking desperate and damaged and nothing like the man she'd thought she loved. I don't know, she said honestly. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. Marcus nodded slowly. Fair. But I need an answer by tomorrow morning. That's when the flight leaves. And if I say no, then I go alone, and you'll never hear from me again. I'll disappear completely. Make sure Volkov can't use me to get to you. It's the least I can do. Adrian's phone buzzed. He checked it, swore. Garrett knows we're in Brooklyn. He's got teams sweeping the area. How much time? Marcus asked. Not enough. We need to split up. You take Lena, get somewhere safe. I'll lead them away. Why would you do that?
Bull sob
Because I'm the one they're tracking. They put a microphone on me. They probably put a tracker too. I'll lead them north while you go south. Adrian looked at Lena. Stay with him until you figure out what you want to do. But Lena, whatever you decide, do it because you want to, not because you're scared or obligated. Understand? She nodded, not trusting her voice. Adrian handed her a card with a phone number scrawled on the back. That's my real number, not the one they monitor. You need help. You call it. Day or night. I'll come. Why are you doing this? Lena asked. You don't even know me. No, but I know what it's like to learn everything you believed was wrong. And I know what it's like to face that alone. He smiled, sad and genuine. Don't face it alone. Then he was gone, jogging out of the storage unit and into the Brooklyn afternoon. Lena watched him disappear, the stranger who'd become the only solid thing in a world that wouldn't stop shifting. We should go, Marcus said, before they realize Adrian's the decoy. Where? I've got a place in Queens, small apartment off the grid. Kozlov's meeting us there tonight with the first payment. After that? He paused. After that, it's your choice. Costa Rica or something else. But at least you'll have options. Options. Lena looked at the laptop still displaying her father's crimes, at the flash drive in Marcus's hand containing proof of 3 decades of corruption, at the envelope in her pocket with a new identity and a plane ticket to a life she'd never imagined wanting. 24 hours ago, she'd been sitting in an airport waiting for a flight to Denver and a future she'd spent 3 years planning. Now she was standing in a Brooklyn storage unit helping her ex-fiancé betray the criminal organization that had killed her father, while a man she'd known for 2 days risked his life to give her time to escape. Nothing made sense, but somehow that felt appropriate. Okay, she said, let's go. Marcus's apartment in Queens was exactly what he'd promised. Small, forgettable, the kind of place landlords rented without asking questions as long as the cash came on time. 3rd floor walk-up, peeling paint in the hallway, a door that stuck when Marcus shouldered it open. Inside was barely furnished. A futon, a card table, 2 folding chairs, a kitchenette with a hot plate and a microwave that looked older than Lena. Home sweet home, Marcus said, dropping his bag by the door. It's not the plaza. No, it's not. Lena moved to the window, looked out at the street below. Cars parked bumper to bumper, a bodega on the corner with hand-painted signs, people walking past without looking up. Anonymous, safe, maybe. How long have you had this place? 3 weeks, since I copied the ledger. Figured I'd need somewhere Garrett couldn't find me. He pulled 2 bottles of water from a mini-fridge, handed her one. You should sit, rest. Kozlov won't be here until 8. I don't want to rest. I want. She stopped, not sure what she wanted. Answers, maybe. Or for the last 3 days to rewind themselves into something that made sense. I want to know why you didn't just tell me. From the beginning. Why all the lies? Marcus sat on the futon, and suddenly he looked exhausted. Because I thought I could keep you separate, keep you safe by keeping you ignorant. The organization has rules about families, about involving civilians. As long as you didn't know anything, they couldn't touch you. Except I was never separate. My father worked for them. They've been watching me my whole life. I didn't know that until 2 weeks ago. I swear, Lena, when we met, when I asked you out that first time, I had no idea about your father. You were just... He smiled, sad and genuine. You were just this woman at a coffee shop who laughed at my terrible jokes. That's all. And when did you find out? About my dad? When I opened the ledger, saw his name next to mine, next to my father's. I spent 3 days going through every transaction, every note, trying to understand what it meant. And then I realized you and I were never random. The organization doesn't believe in coincidence. They put us together. The words hit like cold water. What? Think about it. I joined the organization 8 years ago, fresh out of grad school, thinking I'm doing high-level consulting. They train me, promote me, give me more responsibility. Then 3 years ago, they suggest I take a break, enjoy life a little. One of my handlers mentions a coffee shop in your neighborhood, says it's got great espresso. So I go, and there you are. Lena's hands started shaking. She set down the water bottle before she could drop it. You're saying they orchestrated us meeting, our entire relationship? I'm saying they put us in proximity and let nature take its course. Maybe they thought you'd be useful someday. Maybe they just wanted insurance, another Carter under their thumb. I don't know. But Lena, what happened after that first meeting? That was real. Me falling for you, us building a life together, all of it. That wasn't them. That was us. How do I believe that? How do I believe anything you say? You don't. Not yet. But maybe after this is over, after we're somewhere safe, you'll have time to decide. Marcus pulled out his phone, checked something. Kozlov's confirmed for 8. He's bringing half the money, $250,000. Other half comes after I deliver the drive. And your father? When does he get moved? Tomorrow. Kozlov's people have contacts in the prison system. They'll transfer him to a facility in upstate New York, then to a safe house in New Jersey. From there, he disappears. New identity, new life, same as us. It sounded simple, too simple. But Lena was too tired to argue, too overwhelmed to process one more complication. She sat in one of the folding chairs, closed her eyes, and tried to remember what her life had been like 4 days ago. The details were already fuzzy, like a dream half forgotten upon waking. Her phone buzzed. Emily again, probably. But when Lena checked, it was an unknown number. She almost ignored it, then remembered Adrian's card. His real number. She stepped into the tiny bathroom, closed the door, answered. You okay? Adrian's voice slightly breathless, like he'd been running. Define okay. Alive, unharmed, not currently being held at gunpoint. Then yes, I'm okay. You? Same. Gave Garrett's people a decent chase through Park Slope, lost them near Prospect Park. They're angry but confused, which buys time. He paused. You're with Chen? Yes. And you believe him? About the ledger, about Kozlov. All of it? Lena glanced at the closed bathroom door. Marcus was on the other side, close enough to hear if she spoke too loudly. I don't know what I believe anymore, but the ledger's real. I saw my father's name, saw yours too. I'm sorry. Don't be. I needed to see it, needed to know. Adrian's voice went quieter. Listen, I've been making calls. The copy Chen gave me, I sent pieces of it to people I trust, journalists, prosecutors, people who can actually do something with it. But Lena, if Chen gives the original to Kozlov, if it goes to another criminal organization, those people die. Everyone in that ledger becomes a target. Marcus says Kozlov just wants to take down Volkov, that he's not interested in the others. And you believe that? Criminals promise lots of things. They deliver when it's convenient. What am I supposed to do? Marcus is trying to save his father. I know, and that's noble, I guess. But his father made choices, same as mine, same as yours. At some point, we can't keep sacrificing the present to fix the past. Adrian sighed. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying, be careful. Kozlov's not a hero. He's just another version of Volkov wearing a different suit. Then what's the right answer? What should I do? Survive. That's the only answer that matters. Survive and figure out the rest later. They talked for a few more minutes, Adrian filling her in on Garrett's movements, on the organization's response to the missing ledger. It was bad. Volkov himself was flying in from Moscow, expected to land by midnight. When Volkov arrived, the rules changed. Mistakes stopped being tolerated. People started disappearing. I should go, Lena said. Marcus is expecting Kozlov soon. Call me after. Let me know you're safe. I will. She hung up, stared at herself in the bathroom mirror. The woman looking back was a stranger, hair tangled, mascara smudged, wearing yesterday's clothes and a Kevlar jacket that weighed her down like shame. This wasn't who she was supposed to be. She was supposed to be in Denver right now, unpacking boxes in a new apartment, starting a new job, living a normal life. But normal had been a lie. Maybe it always had been. When she emerged from the bathroom, Marcus was at the window watching the street. Everything okay? That was Adrian. He wanted to make sure I was alive. Touching. Did he warn you about Kozlov? Yes. And? You think he's right? Think I'm leading you into a trap? Lena studied him. This man she'd spent 3 years with, shared a bed with, planned a future with. He looked different now, or maybe she was just seeing him clearly for the first time. The Marcus she'd loved had been careful, methodical, safe. This Marcus was desperate and reckless, and willing to gamble everything on a deal with the devil. I think you're doing what you think is right, she said carefully. I think you love your father, and you're trying to save him, but I also think Adrian's not wrong. Kozlov's going to do what benefits Kozlov, not us. Maybe, but it's the play I've got. You have a better idea? She didn't. That was the problem. Every option felt like stepping off a cliff and hoping something caught her before she hit bottom. At 7:40, Marcus's phone chimed. He checked it, nodded. Kozlov's early. He's downstairs. Already? I thought you said 8. I did. He's testing us. Wants to see if we panic, if we run. Standard intimidation. Marcus moved to the door. Stay here. I'll bring him up. Alone? That's stupid. It's necessary. He sees you immediately. He knows I care about you. That's leverage. Better if he thinks you're just... Marcus stopped. Just what? A stranger? An accomplice? Lena's voice was sharper than she intended. I'm done being invisible, Marcus. If we're doing this, we do it together. He looked like he wanted to argue, but something in her expression stopped him. Fine, together. But let me do the talking. They went downstairs together, Marcus leading, Lena one step behind. The building's entrance was dim, the overhead light flickering like it couldn't decide whether to commit. A black SUV idled at the curb, windows tinted dark enough to be illegal. The rear door opened and a man stepped out. Sergei Kozlov was nothing like Lena expected. She'd pictured someone large and brutal, all scars and gold chains. Instead, he was average height, slim, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. His face was angular, sharp, with pale blue eyes that cataloged everything without seeming to move. Marcus Chen, he said, accent slight but present. You're early. You're earlier. I am curious, man. Sue me. Kozlov's gaze shifted to Lena. And this is the girlfriend, yes? The one who confirms authenticity. Lena Carter, she said before Marcus could answer. David Carter's daughter. Ah. The accountant who grew conscience. A tragic story. Kozlov gestured to the SUV. We should not conduct business in street. Come. We drive, we talk. We make arrangement. We can talk upstairs, Marcus said. Upstairs is small box with one exit. I am not fan of boxes. Car is better, more mobile, more private. Kozlov smiled, and it didn't reach his eyes. You worry I will kidnap pretty girlfriend? Please. If I wanted that, I would have done already. This is negotiation, not abduction. Marcus glanced at Lena. She could see him calculating odds, measuring risks. Finally, he nodded. 10 minutes. We drive around the block, talk, come back. As you wish. They climbed into the SUV. Inside was leather and new car smell, and a driver who didn't turn around or acknowledge their presence. Kozlov sat across from them, separated by enough space to be polite but close enough to be threatening. The car pulled away from the curb, smooth and silent. So, Kozlov said, pulling an envelope from his jacket. As promised. Half now, half on delivery. You may count if you wish, but I assure you it is correct amount. Marcus took the envelope, thumbed through it without really counting. Banded stacks of hundreds, clean and crisp. $250,000 in cash, sitting on his lap like it was normal. Where's the ledger? Kozlov asked. Safe. You get it when my father is moved. Ah, yes. The father. James Chen, currently residing in Allenwood Federal Correctional. Very sad situation, very dangerous. Kozlov leaned back, studying them. You know what happens to informants in prison, yes? Even after protection ends. They do not last long. That's why I need him moved, tomorrow, before Volkov figures out what's happening. Tomorrow. Kozlov nodded slowly. This is possible. Expensive, but possible. However, there is complication. Marcus tensed. What complication? Your father, he is not in prison. The words hung in the air like smoke. Lena felt her stomach drop. What are you talking about? Marcus said, voice tight. I have confirmation. I checked yesterday. He's in Allenwood, Unit C. Cell is occupied, yes. By man who is not James Chen. Your father was moved 3 days ago. Witness protection? Reinstated. Very sudden. Very secret. Kozlov spread his hands. This is problem for you, I think, because motivation for selling ledger was saving father. But father is already saved, so why you still want to sell? Marcus had gone pale, jaw working. You're lying. I am many things, but liar is not profitable in my business. I gain nothing from deception here. Your father is safe, probably in Minnesota or Idaho or somewhere equally boring, which means... Kozlov's eyes sharpened. Which means you have different reason for betraying Volkov. What is reason, Marcus Chen? That's none of your business. Ah, but it is, because I am paying large sum for document, and I must know motivations of seller. Otherwise, how do I know you do not also sell to Volkov? How do I know this is not trap? It's not a trap. I just want out. That's it. The organization, this life, all of it. I want out, and the ledger is my exit fee. Kozlov studied him for a long moment. You are lying. Not about wanting out, that part is true, but about reason. There is something else, something... His gaze shifted to Lena. Something involving her. Leave her out of this, Marcus said. But she is already in this. Daughter of dead accountant, girlfriend of trader, sitting in my car with envelope full of money. She is very much in this. Kozlov leaned forward. Tell me, Lena Carter, why does your boyfriend betray organization that controls his life? What is true reason? Lena met his gaze, saw the calculation behind those pale eyes. He was testing them, pushing to see where they'd break. And if they broke wrong, they'd never leave this car alive. Because they killed my father, she said quietly. And they'll kill Marcus too eventually. He's trying to get out before that happens. That's the reason. That's the only reason. Kozlov considered this. Simple. Perhaps too simple. But I will accept for now. He gestured to the driver. The SUV made a turn heading back toward Marcus's building. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Brighton Beach. Restaurant called Primorsky. You bring ledger, I bring remaining money and proof of your safe passage. We make exchange, you disappear, everyone is happy. What about tonight? Marcus asked. You said half now. This is half. Kozlov gestured to the envelope. Other half comes with ledger. These are terms. You do not like terms, you return money and we forget arrangement. Otherwise, tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Do not be late. Volkov arrives at midnight, and after that, streets become very dangerous. The SUV stopped in front of the building. Kozlov made no move to leave, clearly expecting them to exit first. Marcus opened the door, stepped out, helped Lena down. The envelope stayed in his hand, obvious and incriminating. One more thing, Kozlov called before they could close the door. The girl, bring her tomorrow. I want her to verify ledger contents before exchange. Make sure everything is as promised. That wasn't part of the deal, Marcus said. Now it is. She comes, or there is no deal. Kozlov's expression didn't change. Do we understand each other? Marcus's hand tightened on the envelope. Yeah, we understand. The door closed. The SUV pulled away, disappeared into traffic. Marcus stood on the sidewalk, staring after it, breathing hard. He knows, Lena said. Knows what? That you're lying about your father, about your motivations, about all of it. He's testing us, waiting for us to slip. I'm not lying about wanting out. No, but you're lying about something. I can tell. I spent 3 years learning to read you, Marcus. What aren't you telling me? He turned to face her, and in the streetlight, he looked young and scared, and nothing like the man who'd stolen a ledger from the Russian mob. My father isn't in witness protection, he said. Kozlov's right about that. But he's not in Allenwood either. He's dead. Died 6 months ago. Heart attack, just like Adrian's father. Just like yours. Except I know it wasn't natural because I have the emails. The organization ordered it. Punishment for testifying 15 years ago. They waited, let him think he was safe, then eliminated him when it was convenient. Lena felt cold despite the warm night. So the whole story about saving him was a lie. To give me a reason, a motivation you'd understand. Because the truth, his voice cracked. The truth is, I don't care about the money or the organization or any of it. I just wanted them to pay. I wanted Volkov to lose something that mattered, and the ledger is the only weapon I have. You're not selling it to Kozlov. No. I mean, I am, but not for money. Kozlov has connections with newspapers in Europe, with investigators in countries that don't care about Volkov's bribes. He's going to publish the ledger. Every name, every transaction, every detail. It'll destroy Volkov's network, expose hundreds of people, cause chaos that'll take decades to untangle. Including your name, including mine. Everyone in that file becomes a target. I know, but it's the only way to make sure they can't do this to anyone else. The only way to stop the cycle. Marcus looked at her, desperate. You said you wanted the truth. This is it. All of it. I'm not trying to save anyone. I'm trying to burn it all down, even if we burn with it. Lena took a step back, then another. The envelope in Marcus's hand suddenly looked obscene. Blood money for a suicide mission he'd disguised as rescue. You used me, she said. Yes. You brought me here, put me in danger, made me think we were escaping together, but you were never planning to escape. You were planning to go out with a bang and take me with you. I gave you the passport, the plane ticket. You can still go. Tomorrow morning before the exchange, you can get on that plane and leave. I won't stop you. But you hoped I wouldn't. You hoped I'd come with you to Brighton Beach, help verify the ledger, give you credibility with Kozlov. And then what? We hand it over and hope he publishes before Volkov kills us? Kozlov will publish. He hates Volkov enough to take that risk. But we'll already be dead. You know that, right? The moment we hand over that ledger, we're liabilities. Kozlov will kill us to tie up loose ends. Marcus didn't argue, couldn't argue, because they both knew she was right. I'm sorry, he said. I really am. I didn't want it to be like this, but I couldn't let them get away with it. With killing my father, your father, all the others, someone had to do something. So you decided to be the martyr? To drag me down with you because misery loves company? I gave you a choice, the plane ticket. Isn't a choice. It's an illusion of choice while you manipulated everything else. Lena's voice was rising, and she didn't care. You want to die for your revenge? Fine. Do it, but leave me out of it. She turned, started walking. Marcus called after her, but she didn't stop, didn't look back. Her feet carried her down the street, around the corner, into the anonymous Queen's night. She walked for blocks, maybe miles, not caring about direction, just needing distance. Her phone rang. Adrian, where are you? He asked when she answered. Queens, somewhere. I don't know exactly. What happened? Are you safe? Safe is relative, she laughed, bitter and harsh. Marcus lied. About everything. His father's dead. The whole Save the Father story was fake. He's planning to give the ledger to Kozlov so it gets published and destroys Volkov's network, which means everyone in that file becomes a target, including us. Adrian swore, creative and multilingual. Where's Chen now? His apartment. I walked out. I couldn't. Her voice broke. I can't do this anymore. I can't be part of whatever suicide mission he's planning. Good. Don't be. Where are you? I'll come get you. She looked around, found a street sign. 37th and Broadway, I think. There's a diner. Stay there. Stay visible. Stay around people. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He made it in 15. The black car pulled up, and Adrian jumped out before it fully stopped. He looked different, rumpled, tired, with a cut above his eyebrow that hadn't been there earlier. "What happened to you?" Lena asked. "Garrett's guys got closer than I wanted. Had to persuade them to back off." He guided her into the car, slid in beside her. "You okay?" "No, nothing about this is okay. Nothing about this, I know. But you're alive, which is better than the alternative." Adrian pulled out his phone, made a call. "Yeah, it's me. Chen's going through with it. Kozlov, tomorrow night, Brighton Beach." "Yeah, I know. I'll handle it." He hung up, looked at Lena. "That was a friend at the FBI. They're going to raid the exchange. Grab the ledger before Kozlov can publish it. Arrest everyone involved. Put it into evidence where it can't hurt anyone." "Won't that just bury it? Let Volkov win?" "No. Because I already sent copies to people who can use it properly. Prosecutors building RICO cases, financial investigators, watchdog organizations. They'll use what they need, protect the people who deserve protecting, and go after the ones who deserve consequences. It'll take time, but it'll be thorough, better than Kozlov's scorched earth approach." Lena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that someone could fix this mess without everyone dying, but she'd stopped trusting easy answers 3 days ago. "What about Marcus?" she asked. "Marcus made his choices. If he shows up tomorrow with the ledger, he gets arrested. If he runs, he spends the rest of his life looking over his shoulder. Either way, he's done." "He thinks he's being noble, avenging his father. Maybe he is. Doesn't make him less dangerous. Grief makes people stupid, makes them think revenge is the same as justice." Adrian's expression softened. "You loved him. I get that. But the Marcus you loved doesn't exist anymore. Maybe he never did." The car drove through the night, leaving Queens behind, heading back to Manhattan. Lena watched the city pass, millions of lights representing millions of lives, most of them normal and boring and safe. She'd been one of them once. Maybe she could be again. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere Garrett can't find us. Somewhere Kozlov doesn't know about. Somewhere safe." Adrian glanced at her. "Unless you want something different, you've got that plane ticket. Costa Rica tomorrow morning. You could still use it." "Alone?" "Alone, but alive and free. Sometimes that's enough." Lena pulled out the passport Marcus had given her. Sarah Mitchell, according to the fake documents. Born in Ohio, no criminal history, no connection to any of this. She could become Sarah Mitchell, could get on that plane, land in a country that didn't extradite, and start over for real. Or she could stay. See this through to whatever ending it reached. Bear witness to what her father had been involved in, what Marcus was trying to destroy, what Adrian was trying to preserve. "I don't know what to do," she said quietly. "Then don't decide tonight. Sleep on it. Tomorrow morning you'll have clarity, or at least more information." Adrian's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. "Garrett's putting out feelers, looking for both of us now. Volkov's plane lands in 3 hours." "What happens when he gets here?" "Nothing good. Volkov doesn't do subtle. He'll tear the city apart looking for the ledger, and he won't care who gets hurt in the process." Adrian leaned forward, said something to the driver in Russian. The car changed direction. "Change of plans. We're not staying in the city. Too exposed." "Where then?" "Upstate. I've got a place near the Hudson. Off the grid, literally. No internet, no cell service, no way to track us. We go there, wait out the storm, see how tomorrow's raid plays out. And if the raid fails, then we run. Really run. Not Costa Rica, somewhere Volkov can't reach. I've got contingencies." "You sound like you've done this before." "I've thought about it. Every day for the last 5 years, I've thought about what I'd do if everything fell apart." He smiled, sad and real. "Guess I finally get to find out if my plans hold up." They drove north, leaving the city behind, following highways that got progressively smaller and darker. Lena dozed against the window, exhaustion finally winning over adrenaline. She woke to the car crunching over a gravel driveway, trees pressing close on both sides. The house was small and dark, barely visible against the night. Adrian unlocked the door, flipped a light switch that did nothing. "Generator's in the back," he said. "Give me a minute." He disappeared into the darkness. Lena stood in the doorway, listening to crickets and the distant sound of water. Then light flooded the house, warm and yellow, revealing a space that was part cabin, part fortress. Heavy shutters, reinforced door, supplies stacked against one wall like someone was preparing for siege or apocalypse. "How long could you last here?" Lena asked when Adrian returned. "3 months if I'm careful, 6 if I'm desperate. Water comes from a well, food's non-perishable, there's a weapons cache in the basement." He saw her expression. "I told you, contingencies." "This is more than contingencies. This is paranoia. In my line of work, paranoia is just accurate risk assessment." Adrian moved to the kitchen, started pulling things from cabinets. "There's a bedroom upstairs, real bed, clean sheets. You should sleep." "What about you?" "I'll take the couch. Someone needs to keep watch, make sure we didn't get followed." Lena wanted to argue that she wasn't tired, that she needed to help, that standing watch was more than one person's job. But her body had other ideas, dragging her toward the stairs with the insistence of someone who'd been running on fumes for days. The bedroom was simple but comfortable. Actual bed, thick blankets, a window that looked out over trees and darkness. She collapsed onto the mattress, still wearing Adrian's Kevlar jacket, too tired to take it off. Sleep hit her like a hammer. She dreamed of her father, not as the distant figure from her childhood, but as the man in the ledger, David Carter, laundering money, making problems disappear, trapped in a system he couldn't escape. In the dream, he was trying to tell her something, but the words wouldn't come, lost in the space between what he was and what she'd thought he was. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Adrian was in the doorway, holding a mug. "Morning," he said. "It's almost 10. I let you sleep." Lena sat up, disoriented. 10? I never sleep past 7. You also don't usually spend 3 days running from Russian mobsters. Body needed the rest. He handed her the coffee. "FBI confirms the raid's on for tonight. 8 o'clock, Primorsky Restaurant, Brighton Beach. They'll have agents inside and outside, undercover and in tactical. Soon as the exchange happens, they move in." "And Marcus?" "Is apparently still planning to show. They've got eyes on his apartment. He hasn't left since you did." Lena sipped the coffee, thinking. "He'll know it's a trap. Marcus isn't stupid. He'll figure out something's wrong." "Probably. But he's committed now. Pride, revenge, grief. Whatever's driving him, it won't let him back down." Adrian sat on the edge of the bed, careful to maintain distance. "You don't have to be there. You can stay here. Stay safe. It's over for you if you want it to be." "Is it? Over?" Lena set down the coffee. "My father's in that ledger. His crimes, his death, everything. And if it goes into evidence, it becomes public record eventually. People will know what he did. People will know he was trapped in an impossible situation and tried to get out. That's not the same as being a monster. Isn't it? He took money to hide money. To help criminals stay criminals. How is that not monstrous? Because monsters don't try to leave. Monsters don't get killed for growing a conscience. Your father wasn't perfect, but he wasn't evil either. He was human. Flawed and scared and doing his best in a terrible situation." The words settled over her, familiar and true. Lena thought about the man she remembered, quiet, tired, always working. She thought he was boring. Turned out he was terrified. "I want to be there," she said. "Tonight, at the raid. I want to see it end." "You sure?" "No. But I'm doing it anyway." They spent the day at the cabin, waiting. Adrian made calls on a satellite phone, coordinating with people Lena didn't know, in languages she didn't speak. She wandered the property, following a path down to the river, watching water move around rocks with the patient persistence of something that knew it would eventually win. At 6, they drove back to the city. The closer they got, the more Lena's stomach tightened. This was it. The end of whatever had started 3 days ago at an airport with a text message that destroyed everything. Brighton Beach at night was all neon and Cyrillic, restaurants and shops catering to a community that had transplanted itself from one continent to another. Primorsky was on the boardwalk, ocean on one side, street on the other. A good location for an exchange, public but isolated, easy to watch, hard to trap. Unless you had FBI tactical teams and 3 months of planning. Adrian parked 2 blocks away, on a side street where they could see the restaurant but wouldn't be immediately visible. They'll go in once the money and ledger are both on the table. Visual confirmation, then breach. Should be fast. And if it's not, then we drive away very quickly and hope for the best. At 7:50, Marcus arrived. Lena watched him climb out of a cab, carrying a backpack that probably held the ledger and whatever courage he had left. He looked around once, scanning for threats, then entered the restaurant. At 7:55, two SUVs pulled up. Kozlov's people, probably. Men in dark suits who moved like violence was their first language. At 8 exactly, Adrian's phone buzzed. A text from someone named Rivera. In position. Exchange happening now. Through the restaurant's front window, Lena could barely see shapes moving. Marcus and Kozlov at a table, the backpack being opened. Money changing hands. Then everything happened at once. The restaurant's lights went out. Flashbangs detonated, bright even from 2 blocks away. Shouting, movement, tactical teams pouring in from 3 directions. Kozlov's men drew weapons, and suddenly there was gunfire, sharp cracks that sent pedestrians screaming and running. "Down!" Adrian shouted, pulling Lena below the dashboard. The gunfight lasted maybe 30 seconds. Then silence, terrible and absolute. Adrian's phone buzzed again. Kozlov secured. Chen ran. 3 suspects down. 1 FBI agent injured, non-critical. Marcus ran, Lena said. Yeah, he's good at that. Adrian started the car. We need to leave, now, before they lock down the whole neighborhood. But before he could pull away, Lena saw movement. Marcus, emerging from an alley behind the restaurant, running low and fast, the backpack still on his shoulders. He'd gotten out. Somehow, in the chaos, he'd gotten out with the ledger. There, Lena said, pointing. Adrian swore, threw the car into gear. Hold on. They followed Marcus through side streets, watching him dart between cars, through yards, trying to lose pursuit he probably thought was Kozlov's people or Volkov's, or both. Finally, he ducked into a subway entrance, and they lost him. We need to go, Adrian said. If he still has that ledger, if he's trying to find another buyer, he won't. There is no other buyer. Kozlov was his only option. Then what's he doing? Lena pulled out her phone, looked at the tickets Marcus had given her. Costa Rica, 6 a.m. departure from JFK. Both tickets, both names. He's going to the airport, she said. He's going to try one last time to get me to come with him. Adrian looked at her. Are you? No, I told you, I'm done with Marcus's plans. She checked the time. 9:30. But I need to see him. One last time. I need to tell him to his face that he doesn't get to decide how this ends. That's a bad idea. I know. But I'm doing it anyway. They drove to JFK, arrived at Terminal 4 by 10:15. The airport was busy with the nighttime international crowd. Families, business travelers, people living their normal lives. Lena felt like she was walking through a dream, something adjacent to real but not quite touching it. Marcus was at the gate, sitting alone in a row of chairs, the backpack at his feet. He looked up when she approached, and for a second he almost smiled. You came, he said, to say goodbye. That's all. The FBI raided the exchange. Kozlov's in custody. I barely got out. I know. I watched. He absorbed this. You were there? Close enough, with Adrian. We wanted to make sure it ended. It's not over. I still have the ledger. I can still... Still what, Marcus? Kozlov's arrested. There's no buyer, no publisher, no grand revenge. It's over. Then I'll find another way. I'll post it online, send it to every newspaper in Europe, release it myself. They killed my father, Lena. They killed yours. Someone has to pay. Someone is paying. The FBI has copies. They're building cases. It'll take time, but it'll happen the right way. Without us dying, without everyone in that file becoming collateral damage. The right way? Marcus laughed, bitter. There is no right way. The system's corrupt. The people who should enforce laws are in Volkov's pocket. The only way to fight is from outside the system. And where does that leave us? On the run forever? Dead in a foreign country when Volkov catches up? That's not justice. That's suicide. Maybe. But at least it's something. Lena sat down beside him, suddenly exhausted again. I'm not getting on that plane. I know. And you shouldn't either. Turn yourself in. Give the FBI the ledger. Testify. You might do some time, but you'll live. That's more than you'll get if you run. I can't. They'll put me in a cell just like my father, and eventually someone will kill me just like they killed him. At least if I run, I have a chance. No, you have a fantasy. There's a difference. They sat in silence, watching people board planes to places that sounded exotic and safe. Lena thought about Costa Rica, about becoming Sarah Mitchell, about starting over in a place where her father wasn't a criminal and her ex-fiancé wasn't a traitor and she was just a woman drinking coffee on a beach somewhere. "I did love you," Marcus finally said. "I know you don't believe it, but I did. I do. And I'm sorry I couldn't be the person you needed me to be." "I'm sorry you couldn't either." Lena stood. "Goodbye, Marcus." "Goodbye, Lena." She walked away without looking back, through the terminal, through security in reverse, back to where Adrian waited by the car. "How'd it go?" he asked. "As well as possible. He's not coming back. He's going to run until Volkov finds him, or he finds somewhere Volkov can't reach. Either way, I'll never see him again." "And you're okay with that?" "I don't know. Ask me in a year." She climbed into the car. "Can we go? I just want to leave. All of this." "Can we just leave?" "Yeah," Adrian said, "we can leave." They drove back to the cabin in silence, arriving near midnight. The generator hummed in the darkness, the only sound besides wind in the trees. Lena went upstairs, finally took off the Kevlar jacket, lay down in a bed that smelled like detergent and pine. Her phone buzzed one last time, a message from an unknown number. "I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better." She deleted it without responding, then turned off the phone entirely. Whatever happened to Marcus now was beyond her control, beyond her responsibility. He'd made his choices. She'd made hers. Tomorrow, she'd figure out what came next. But tonight, she was just going to sleep. And for the first time in 4 days, she did. Lena woke to the smell of eggs and the sound of Adrian cursing in the kitchen. She checked her phone, still off, and left it that way. Outside the window, morning light filtered through trees that were just starting to think about changing color. September edging toward October. A whole season had passed since that night at the airport, though it felt like years. She found Adrian at the stove, glaring at a pan like it had personally offended him. "I thought you could cook," she said from the doorway. "I can. This pan has other ideas." He scraped what might have been scrambled eggs onto 2 plates. "Coffee's ready. It's better than the eggs." They ate in comfortable silence, the kind that comes from spending 3 weeks in close quarters with someone. After that first night back from the airport, Adrian had insisted she stay at the cabin. "At least until we know how things shake out with the FBI and Volkov," he'd said. She'd agreed because she had nowhere else to go and because the quiet felt necessary, like her brain needed space to process everything that had happened. "Heard from your FBI contact?" Lena asked. Rivera called on the satellite phone this morning. Koslov's cooperating, giving up names in exchange for reduced charges. Volkov's back in Moscow, probably destroying evidence and eliminating witnesses. "Marcus?" Adrian paused. "They don't know where Marcus is. He never boarded the Costa Rica flight, disappeared completely." Lena absorbed this. She'd expected it, but hearing it confirmed still felt like losing something. Not Marcus himself. That man was gone, if he'd ever existed. But the idea of closure, of knowing how his story ended. "You think he's alive?" she asked. "Honestly, I don't know. If he still has the ledger, maybe. Could use it as insurance, trade it for protection somewhere. If he doesn't," Adrian shrugged. "Volkov's reach is long, but it's not infinite. Marcus is smart. Scared and desperate, but smart. He might make it. And if he doesn't, then he made his choice. We can't save people from their own decisions." The words sat heavy between them, true, but not comforting. Lena thought about all the choices that had led her here. Saying yes to that first coffee date with Marcus, quitting her job for Denver, getting on Adrian's plane, following Marcus to that storage unit. Each decision had felt necessary at the time, inevitable even. But looking back, she could see the moments where everything could have gone differently. "I called my sister yesterday," Lena said, "on the satellite phone. Told her everything." "How'd she take it?" "Better than expected. Mostly she was just relieved I was alive. She's coming back from Singapore next month, wants to meet up." Lena pushed eggs around her plate. "I don't know what I'm going to tell her about Dad, about all of it. How do you explain that your whole life was built on lies? You tell her the truth, that your father was human, that he made mistakes trying to provide for his family, that he tried to fix those mistakes and it killed him. She already knows most of it anyway." "But I didn't. For 23 years I didn't know. And I'm angry about that. Angry at Mom for keeping it secret. Angry at Dad for getting involved in the first place. Angry at Emily for not telling me. And I know that's not fair. I know they were trying to protect me, but you deserve to know. You deserve to make your own choices with full information, and they took that from you. Adrian stood, started clearing plates. That anger's valid. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. Even if it doesn't change anything, especially then. Anger that changes things is easy. Anger that just sits there, that you have to carry, that's the kind that matters. That's the kind that means you're still fighting, still refusing to accept what was done to you. Lena watched him wash dishes with the same efficiency he did everything. No wasted motion, no unnecessary steps. Adrian Voss, consultant for criminals, son of a murdered accountant, survivor of the same system that had killed her father. He'd been carrying that anger for years, and it hadn't destroyed him. Maybe she could learn to carry hers too. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Still off, but the vibration meant it was trying to turn itself on. Some default setting she'd never changed. She picked it up, stared at the dark screen. "You can turn it on," Adrian said. "Volkov's not tracking you anymore. I made sure of that." "How?" "Had some friends in tech wipe your digital footprint. New phone number, new accounts, everything. As far as the organization's concerned, Lena Carter fell off the map 3 weeks ago." "Is that even legal?" "Probably not, but neither is laundering money for the Russian mob, and they managed fine for 30 years. He dried his hands, leaned against the counter. "Point is, you're safe. You can turn on your phone, call people, start rebuilding if you want to." Did she want to? Lena wasn't sure. The last 3 weeks had been strange and quiet and almost peaceful. No emails, no social media, no constant bombardment of other people's lives and opinions. Just her and Adrian and the river, and the slow work of figuring out who she was when everything else got stripped away. But she couldn't hide forever. At some point, she'd have to rejoin the world. The question was whether she'd rejoin as Lena Carter or become someone new entirely. She still had that passport Marcus had given her, still had the fake identity and the plane ticket she'd never used. She could be Sarah Mitchell if she wanted, could go to Costa Rica or anywhere else and start completely over. "What are you going to do?" she asked Adrian. "After this? When it's safe?" He considered the question, really considered it, instead of deflecting with a joke or half-truth. "I don't know. The organization's falling apart, but it's not gone. There are pieces of it that'll survive, reshape themselves into something new. They'll need people who understand how things work. They'll probably offer me a position." "And you take it?" "No. I'm done. Done cleaning up other people's messes. Done pretending I'm just a consultant when I'm really just—" He stopped. "I don't know what I am, but I know I don't want to be that anymore." "So what then? What do you want to be?" "Honestly, I want to be boring. I want to wake up and not check if my car's been tampered with. I want to have friends who don't carry weapons. I want to live somewhere that doesn't require a weapons cache in the basement." He smiled, and it was the most genuine expression Lena had seen from him. "I want what you had before all this. Normal and safe and predictable." "Normal's overrated, trust me." "Maybe, but I'd like to find out for myself." They spent the rest of the morning in comfortable routine, Adrian chopping wood for the stove, Lena reading a book she'd found on a shelf, both of them existing in the same space without needing constant conversation. It was nice, easy, the kind of thing she'd thought she had with Marcus but never really did. With Marcus, there'd always been a performance, a sense that they were playing roles in a relationship neither of them had fully committed to. With Adrian, there was just presence. No pretense, no performance, just two damaged people sharing space and not making it weird. At noon, the satellite phone rang. Adrian answered, listened, his expression shifting from neutral to grim. "When?" he asked. "Yeah, okay. Thanks for the heads up." He hung up, looked at Lena. "That was Rivera. They found Marcus." Lena's stomach dropped. "Found him how?" "Body washed up in the Hudson this morning. Near Peekskill. Shot twice. Execution style. He'd been dead about 2 weeks, give or take." Adrian's voice was carefully neutral. "They're running prints and dental records for confirmation, but Rivera says it's definitely him. They also found the ledger. Soaking wet and mostly destroyed, but there. The news should have hit harder, should have broken something inside her. Instead, Lena just felt tired. Tired and sad and strangely empty, like she'd already mourned Marcus and this was just paperwork confirming what she'd known. Volkov? She asked. Probably, or one of his people. Marcus took something that mattered, embarrassed the organization. They couldn't let that stand. Adrian moved closer, not touching but near enough that she could feel his presence. I'm sorry. I know you two had history. We had lies. History requires truth. Lena sat down on the couch, suddenly unable to stand. I should feel worse about this. I loved him, or thought I did. But all I feel is relief, that it's over, that I know what happened, that I don't have to wonder anymore. What does that make me? Human. You feel what you feel. There's no right way to grieve someone who hurt you. He was trying to make it right at the end, trying to fix what his father couldn't, what my father couldn't. That has to count for something. It counts for intention. But intention doesn't erase consequence. Marcus made choices that got him killed. That's on him, not you. Lena wanted to argue, wanted to defend Marcus one last time. But Adrian was right. Marcus had chosen revenge over safety, martyrdom over survival. And that choice had killed him just as surely as Volkov's bullet. The FBI wants to talk to you, Adrian continued. About Marcus, about the ledger, about everything you know. Rivera says it's voluntary, that you're not in trouble, but I should probably cooperate if I want them to stop looking at me. Yeah. When? Whenever you're ready. They can come here or you can go to the city, your choice. Lena thought about it. The cabin had been a refuge, a place to hide while the world sorted itself out. But hiding couldn't last forever. At some point, she'd have to face consequences, answer questions, explain how she'd ended up in the middle of a mob war. Tomorrow, she said. I'll talk to them tomorrow. But here, I'm not ready to go back to the city yet. Fair enough. I'll set it up. That night, Lena stood on the cabin's small porch, watching stars appear as the sky darkened. The air smelled like pine and river water and the specific crispness that meant autumn was winning its slow war against summer. She'd spent most of her life in cities where stars were suggestions rather than realities. Out here, they were overwhelming, thousands of them, maybe millions, all that light traveling years to reach her eyes. Adrian joined her, handed her a beer from the ancient fridge. You okay? He asked. Define okay. Alive, not actively bleeding, not planning to do anything stupid. Then yes, I'm okay. She took a sip of the beer. It was cheap and cold and perfect. Can I ask you something? Depends on the question. That night at the airport, when you offered me the plane to New York, did you really have no idea who I was? That Marcus was my fiancé? That my father worked for Volkov? Adrian was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the darkness. I didn't know about your father. That part's true. But Marcus, he sighed. I knew someone named Marcus Chen had gone rogue. I knew he'd taken something important. And when I saw you sitting there, saw the text message on your phone while you were looking at the departures board, I recognized his number. It's listed in the organization's directory. So you knew. I knew Marcus had just destroyed someone's life via text, yes. I didn't know that someone was you specifically, didn't know your name or history. But I knew you were connected to a problem I was supposed to solve. He turned to look at her. And I thought, maybe if I kept you close, I could figure out what Marcus was planning. Use you as leverage or bait or insurance. That's why I invited you to New York. That's the truth. Lena absorbed this. But you didn't. Use me. No. Because somewhere between the airport and that warehouse in Brooklyn, I realized you weren't leverage. You were just someone who got dealt a bad hand and was trying to play it anyway. And I thought, he stopped. I thought maybe I could help you play it better. Not for the organization, for you. Why? Because I've been you. Different circumstances, same feeling. That moment when you realize everything you believed was built on sand, and it's all collapsing, and you have two choices. Let it bury you, or dig your way out. I let it bury me for a long time. Thought maybe I could stop you from making the same mistake. So this whole thing, the cabin, keeping me safe, helping with the FBI, that's all guilt? Some of it, yeah, but not all. Adrian moved closer, and in the starlight, his face was open and honest in a way she'd never seen. Some of it's because I like you, because you're smart and stubborn, and you didn't fall apart when most people would have. Because you walked away from Marcus instead of following him into something that would have gotten you killed. That takes strength. I respect strength. I don't feel strong, I feel like I'm barely holding it together. That's what strength looks like. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about breaking and still getting up anyway. They stood there in the dark, not quite touching, but not quite separate either. Lena thought about all the ways this could go wrong, trusting someone from the same world that had killed her father, building something on a foundation of shared trauma, mistaking proximity for connection. She thought about Marcus, about how that had ended, about how every time she trusted someone, it seemed to blow up in her face. But she also thought about the last 3 weeks, about Adrian teaching her to chop wood and light the generator and navigate by stars when the GPS didn't work, about conversations that were honest instead of performative, about someone who'd seen her at her worst and hadn't tried to fix her or save her, just stood beside her while she figured it out herself. "I'm not ready for this," she said quietly. "Whatever this is, I'm not ready." "I know. Me neither." Adrian stepped back, giving her space. "I'm not asking you to be. I'm just saying, when you are ready, if you're ready, I'll be here. Or somewhere. Doing something boring and safe and predictable." "Like what?" "I don't know. Open a coffee shop. Learn to garden. Take up bird watching. Literally anything that doesn't involve looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes." Lena laughed despite everything. "You'd be terrible at running a coffee shop." "Probably, but I'd learn. That's the point of boring. You have time to learn things that don't matter in the grand scheme but matter to you." They went back inside, and Lena tried to sleep but couldn't. Her mind kept returning to Marcus, to the last time she'd seen him at the airport, to the moment she'd walked away. Part of her wondered if she could have saved him, if there'd been something she could have said that would have changed his mind. But she knew that was magical thinking. Marcus hadn't wanted to be saved. He'd wanted revenge, and revenge had gotten him killed. The FBI arrived the next morning. Agent Rivera and a younger woman who introduced herself as Agent Park. They were professional but not unkind, asking questions without making Lena feel like a suspect. She told them everything. About Marcus disappearing, about Adrian at the airport, about the warehouse and the ledger and Kozlov, about that last conversation at JFK where she'd walked away while Marcus chose to run. "You did the right thing," Rivera said when she finished. "Chen was in over his head. Nothing you said or did would have changed that." "Doesn't make it feel better." "No, it doesn't, but it's still true." Rivera closed his notebook. "For what it's worth, you're not in any trouble. You were a civilian caught in something you didn't understand. The Bureau appreciates your cooperation." "What happens now with Volkov, with the organization?" "We keep building the case. We've got testimony from Kozlov, copies of the ledger, financial records. It'll take time, years probably, but we'll get there. Organizations like this don't fall overnight. They erode slowly until there's nothing left but rubble." After they left, Lena felt lighter, like she'd been carrying weight she hadn't realized was there, and someone had finally given her permission to set it down. Adrian made lunch, soup from a can that was somehow still better than it had any right to be, and they ate outside, watching the river move past with its eternal patience. "What are you going to do?" Adrian asked. "Now that Marcus is gone, now that you've talked to the FBI. What comes next?" "I don't know. I can't go back to my old life. That's gone. Denver's gone. The person I was is gone. So I guess I have to figure out who I am now." "Any ideas?" "Maybe I'll go back to school, get a degree in something useful, or move somewhere completely different. Montana, Alaska, somewhere with space to think." She paused. "Or maybe I'll stick around here for a while, help you figure out this whole boring thing." "Yeah? Yeah, I mean, someone needs to make sure you don't poison yourself with questionable cooking. Might as well be me." Adrian smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "I'd like that." The weeks that followed were strange and quiet and surprisingly normal. Lena helped Adrian winterize the cabin, sealing windows, stacking firewood, preparing for snow that would come eventually whether they were ready or not. She called Emily and had a long, painful, necessary conversation about their father, about their mother, about all the secrets that had shaped their lives. Emily cried. Lena cried. They agreed to meet in December, somewhere neutral, and try to rebuild something honest from the wreckage of what they'd been. She also called her mother, which went about as well as expected. Linda Carter listened to Lena's accusations and apologies and questions, then said, "I did what I thought was right. Maybe I was wrong, but I can't change it now. I can only tell you that everything I did to keep keep you safe. Well, it didn't work, Lena said. I ended up in danger anyway. But you survived. That's more than your father got. That's more than a lot of people get. So maybe I did something right after all. They didn't reconcile, not really, but they reached a kind of truce, an agreement to exist in each other's lives without pretending the past didn't hurt. That felt like enough for now. Adrian left for the city in October, came back 2 days later looking tired but satisfied. I quit, he said simply. Told them I was done, that they could find someone else to handle their problems. They offered me more money. I said no. They threatened me. I reminded them that I have copies of the ledger too, and if I turn up dead, it goes public. They decided to let me walk. Just like that? Just like that. Turns out when you stop being afraid, they lose most of their power over you. He dropped his bag by the door, looked around the cabin like he was seeing it for the first time. So, I'm unemployed, officially free, absolutely no idea what to do next. Join the club, Lena said. We meet on Thursdays to discuss our collective unemployment and poor life choices. Sounds productive. It's really not. November brought snow, early and heavy, blanketing everything in white that made the world feel new and clean. Lena stood at the window, watching flakes fall, and realized she was happy. Not ecstatic, not the manufactured happiness of social media and inspirational quotes, just content. Like for the first time in her life, she wasn't performing for anyone. Wasn't trying to be someone's daughter or girlfriend or employee. Was just Lena, figuring things out, making mistakes, existing without apology. I think I want to stay, she said one night over dinner. Not forever, but for a while. Maybe through winter. See what happens when we're snowed in with nothing but each other and questionable canned goods. You sure? It gets pretty boring, pretty isolated. Good. I could use some boring, some isolated. I've had enough excitement to last a lifetime. What about after winter? Ask me in spring. Maybe we'll both have figured something out by then. They didn't, really. Spring came slowly, melting snow revealing brown grass and mud, and the patient work of the river carving its path deeper. Adrian started building raised beds for a garden, following YouTube videos on the satellite internet with the concentration of someone approaching brain surgery. Lena painted the cabin shutters, badly at first, then better as she remembered how, from a summer job in high school, Emily visited in April, flying into Albany and renting a car for the drive upstate. She hugged Lena for a full minute when she arrived, neither of them speaking, both of them crying. Then she stepped back, looked around, and said, "So this is where you've been hiding." Not hiding, recovering. Is there a difference? Yes. Hiding is running away from something. Recovering is running towards something else. They spent 3 days talking about their father, about their childhood, about all the ways their mother's fear had shaped them without their knowing. Emily apologized for keeping secrets. Lena apologized for being angry about it. They both agreed that their father had been human and flawed and trying his best in an impossible situation, and that they could forgive him without forgetting what his choices had cost them. Before Emily left, she pulled Lena aside. "Is this real?" she asked, gesturing at the cabin, at Adrian chopping wood outside. "Or are you just hiding from making real decisions?" "I don't know yet, but I'm figuring it out. That's more than I was doing before." "And him? Adrian, is that real?" Lena looked out the window at Adrian, who'd given up on the wood and was now attempting to fix the porch railing with tools he clearly didn't know how to use. "I think so, but we're taking it slow, really slow, like geological time slow." "Good. You've earned slow." Summer arrived, and with it, news from the outside world. Rivera called to say they'd indicted 17 people connected to Volkov's organization, with more charges pending. Volkov himself was still in Moscow, untouchable but diminished, his network in pieces. "It'll take years to prosecute everyone, Rivera said. "But it's happening. Chen's ledger made it possible, for whatever that's worth." It was worth something, Lena thought. Worth Marcus's life, maybe. Worth her father's death 20 years ago. Worth all the pain and secrets and lies that had brought her to this point. Not enough to make it all okay, nothing could do that. But enough to matter. She asked Rivera what had happened to the money Marcus had given her. The envelope from Kozlov, the account with $50,000 in it. "Technically, it's evidence," Rivera said. "But between you and me, we can't prove where it came from. Could be legitimate payment for legitimate work." You should probably keep it, just in case you need it for something important. She put the money in an account, barely touched it. It felt tainted, wrong, like keeping it meant accepting that Marcus's death had somehow been worth cash value. But she also didn't give it away, didn't pretend it didn't exist. It was there, part of the wreckage, part of what she'd survived. In August, Adrian asked if she wanted to leave the cabin, maybe travel somewhere warm and foreign, and nothing like upstate New York. We could go to Portugal, he suggested, or Greece, somewhere with actual civilization and food that doesn't come from cans. Are you getting bored of boring? Lena asked. A little, but more than that, I'm curious about what life looks like when we're not hiding, when we're just… He stopped. When we're just living. They went to Portugal in September, 1 year after everything had started. Lisbon was bright and loud and full of people living normal lives, eating pastries, arguing about soccer, hanging laundry from apartment windows. They rented a small flat in Alfama, spent their days walking cobblestone streets, and their nights watching the sun set over the Tagus River. Do you miss it? Adrian asked one evening, wine and dinner spread between them. Your old life, Denver, what you thought you were going to have. Sometimes, but mostly I'm relieved I don't have to live that lie anymore. I thought I wanted safe and predictable. Turns out I just wanted honest. This, she gestured at the city, at him, at the life they were slowly building from spare parts and stubbornness. This is honest. Weird and complicated and nothing like I planned, but honest. Is it enough? It's enough for now. Ask me again in a year. They stayed in Lisbon for 3 months, then moved to a small town in the Algarve, where Adrian rented a house with a garden he immediately began destroying through enthusiastic incompetence. Lena got a job teaching English to local kids, not because they needed the money, but because she needed something to do that wasn't survival. Just normal work, normal days, normal problems like lesson plans and verb conjugations. She still thought about Marcus sometimes, about the man she'd loved, and the man he'd actually been, and the gap between those two realities. She thought about her father, about David Carter trying to escape a world that wouldn't let him go. She thought about all the people in that ledger, the ones who'd survived and the ones who hadn't, and wondered what they would have chosen if they'd known the cost up front. But mostly she thought about the future, about what came next, about who she wanted to become now that she had the freedom to choose. She thought about Emily, about rebuilding that relationship into something stronger than secrets and fear. She thought about her mother, about whether forgiveness was possible or even necessary. She thought about Adrian, about whether what they had was love or just shared trauma or something in between. And she decided it didn't matter what it was called, it worked. They worked. Two broken people who'd found each other at the worst possible time and somehow managed not to make it worse. That felt like enough. That felt like everything. 1 year after leaving New York, Lena stood on a beach in southern Portugal, watching waves roll in with the same patient persistence as the river back at the cabin. Adrian was behind her somewhere, probably burning whatever he was trying to grill. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that didn't have names. Her phone buzzed. Emily, sending a photo of her new apartment in London, where she'd relocated after Singapore. The message said, "Settled, finally. Come visit?" Lena typed back, "Soon, promise." Another message appeared, this one from Rivera. "Volkov indicted, extradition pending. Thought you'd want to know." She stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. She didn't need to know, didn't need to follow the case, track the trial, watch justice happen in real time. That part of her life was over. Whatever happened to Volkov, whatever happened to the remnants of his organization, it didn't touch her anymore. She'd survived. She'd escaped. She'd built something new from the wreckage. That was enough. Adrian appeared at her elbow, holding 2 plates of food that was only slightly charred. "Success," he announced. "Mostly, there may have been a small fire." Define small. Contained, manageable, not requiring emergency services. That's your definition of success? These days? Yeah. Success is not making things worse. Everything else is bonus. He handed her a plate. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." And for the first time in a long time, it wasn't a lie or a half-truth or a performance. She was okay. Not perfect, not healed, not fixed, just okay. Just surviving and figuring it out and building something that felt like a life. "Good," Adrian said. Because I was thinking maybe we stay here, not forever, but for a while. See what happens when we stop running. I thought that's what we've been doing. No, we've been recovering. There's a difference. Recovery is about surviving what happened. Living is about choosing what comes next. Lena looked at him, at this man who'd dragged her into hell and helped her climb back out, who'd been honest even when honesty was hard, who'd stood beside her without trying to fix her or save her or make her into something she wasn't. Okay, she said, let's stay. Let's see what happens when we stop running and start living. They ate dinner on the beach as the sun finished setting, talking about nothing important. The garden, the weather, whether they should get a dog. Normal conversation, boring and mundane and perfect. Lena thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, sitting in an airport at midnight, watching her life collapse around her. That woman would never have believed this was possible. Peace after chaos, honest connection after betrayal, a future after everything had been destroyed. But here it was anyway. Imperfect and strange and nothing like she'd planned. Better than she'd planned, maybe. Because it was real. Because she'd chosen it. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't living according to someone else's script or expectations or lies. She was just living. And that, she realized, was what her father had died trying to achieve. What Marcus had destroyed himself chasing. What Adrian had spent years building toward. The simple, radical act of living honestly, of choosing your own path, of refusing to let fear or guilt or obligation write your story. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't justice. It wasn't even closure, really. But it was freedom. And in the end, that was enough.